Another tough Saturday for the Miami Hurricanes. The Canes Nation, once again, up in arms. The outcries began the second that Michigan State exploded in the fourth quarter to hand Miami yet another bad home defeat in the 2 years and 3-game tenure of Manny Diaz. This time, you walked away with the impression that Diaz is running out of mulligans with difficult home games approaching against Virginia and NC State, as well as a tough road test at North Carolina. Miami is struggling at the line of scrimmage on offense, literally sending the Eric King to the doctor's office this week as preparations began for Saturday's very timely game against Central Connecticut State. On defense, the Canes can't tackle anybody. They missed 30 tackles against Michigan State, the third consecutive game where they have missed at least 20. Miami is currently number one in the country in both total missed tackles and missed tackle percentage, meaning that they missed basically 1 in 4 of their tackle attempts. The 2020 Rhett Lashley attack averaged a healthy 34 points and 439.8 yards per game. Through the first 3 games this year, those numbers have plummeted to 18.3 points and 360.3 yards. The run game has all but disappeared too, with the backs combining for 52 rushes and 220 yards for just 73 rushing yards per game. Rhett Lashley was so clearly flabbergasted that he had the Eric King throw the ball 59 times against Michigan State last Saturday to try to get out of Dodge with a victory. That obviously did not work out. The Hurricanes are also turning the ball over at an alarming rate, with 7 so far this season after having just 12 the entire season a year ago. You put the whole sloppy mess of fundamental breakdowns, insufficient performances, penalties, missed tackles, drops, turnovers. You put it all together, and you have a crisis situation at the U. And that's what we're going to be talking tonight as we begin another edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and we welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. As always, this is your show. It'll be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. We have 100 open phone lines, plenty of room for everybody to call in and participate. You know the drill. If you want to come on the show, you hit the 1 on your keypad. That puts you in the queue. We bring you in on the show in the order that you land in queue. We once again ask subscribers at CaneSport.com to post topics and questions that they would like to hear discussed on tonight's show, and we will address those tonight during the course of the show. All right, so the topic of the week is tackling for obvious reasons. And after the game on Saturday, I had the opportunity to ask Manny Diaz what he thought about that issue that was plaguing his defense. And this is what he had to say.
Yeah, Gary, we'll have to look at everything that we do. We have a system of tackling that we've done for a long time. It's yielded really good results. Obviously we're limited in terms of how much you're allowed to take a guy to the ground in practice. And then when you start to have injuries and depth concerns like what we have at running back, that definitely affects that as well. But that to your point, we tackled poorly in the secondary at some positions in the Alabama game. We tackled better as a team last week against App State. This is by far our worst performance, and obviously from a defensive standpoint, it cost us today.
All right, so Manny had all day Sunday to look at the film, and it was he knew it was their worst performance before he watched the first frame. But then he was asked again on Monday to address the issue of tackling and physicality one more time, and here's what he had to say then.
It's hard to bring people to the ground during the season, especially when you've got depth issues. But you can increase the pop, and we don't practice unphysically, and when you have an older and experienced team, and again guys who have been in a lot of contests and have a ton of reps at blocking and tackling, generally there's a certain way that you can treat that team. But there are some drills that we can do, and there are some things that we can do to get it hot out there, and that'll happen tomorrow. And because our physicality can't be in question. It just can't. And majority of our issues in terms of tackling, for example, was stopping feet on contact against a runner that was not stopping his feet on contact. And it really doesn't matter who you play. I mean, obviously, their back is a hell of a player, but he, he had his cleats screwed in the ground and was turning his legs, and too often we were running to contact and not through contact. And there was a lot of the similarities in terms of blocking, running to contact instead of running through contact. We have to be a team that runs through contact. It doesn't matter who plays. I don't care who does it. It doesn't matter. I always say I can change a coverage based off DBs that are in there, but we got to find 4 guys that will set edges and get guys on the ground. And similar to us, offensively, up front offensively, we've got to find guys that seek out contact. We went through training camp as hard and physical as all of our training camps. And it's hard because when you say, well, it's a culture issue. If it was a culture issue, then our defense line wouldn't have whipped their offensive line from start to finish. And again, if you look at the way that game, the way the Michigan State moved the football against us, everything was out on the edges. So it'd be hard to say, you got a football team that's not physical when you got a bunch of guys that are playing with extraordinary physicality, which I thought we did up front. That's the nature of having a big football team. It can be the actions of a few that can make it look this way for certainly everybody. I have a lot of guys that'd be highly offended if they were told that they didn't play with physicality on Saturday. The issue is that I know defensively is the physicality of your defense is defined by your least physical defender, not your most physical defender. And that's what we got to find, and that's what we got to get going. So I don't think, to your point, I think if you would have watched us every day, I don't think there would have been no warning signs. We put them through a physical camp. But it's in season, and what the video says is we got to hit more, and we're going to hit more.
The video doesn't lie. I mean, video never lies in football. And today, the Canes went out on Green Tree Practice Field and started working to solve their tackling issues and all the other issues, really, that are plaguing this football team. We were able to watch a few periods, and there were a couple noticeable things. We saw some thumping as opposed to circuits with tires and things like that. There also was still the use of a sled as opposed to player-on-player contact. Coaches are hesitant to do a lot of live hitting during the season. So we're sure that's something that Diaz is going to have to balance moving forward. Another issue I see is that the coaches really won't get a read on what kind of progress they are making this weekend because the opponent is Central Connecticut State. And then things are going to get real very quickly again with Virginia coming to Hard Rock Stadium for a Thursday night matchup. Virginia just gave North Carolina a tussle up there in Chapel Hill. They're an improving football team. They got a very good offense, an experienced quarterback. So you just know they're going to find some way to make that probably yet another life and death struggle into the fourth quarter. And I think that's how the games are going to go this year. And Miami's just going to have to find a way to win enough of them to win the Coastal, or else this season is not a success. And that's going to obviously leave Manny Diaz in a compromised position. So there's so much to talk about tonight, so let's go out to your calls. The number, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And let's start tonight in the 941. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Hello, Gary. Wow, I did it. First caller. Yes.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Kane?
Hey, well, no song this week. It's a pretty dark week. I was at the game, and, I do have a commentary to start off the show, and I'm just going to go right to it. I'm going to call it the Meister Canes commentary for CaneSport Live, to former players and the voice of the fans. Yes, I was at the Michigan State game. The only thing I enjoyed was telling some of their fans about Michigan State being my Uncle Frank's alma mater. Now, I've been a UM football fan for most of my life. It's heartbreaking to see how far this once proud football program has fallen. The embarrassing loss to FIU, the loss to Lou Tech in the bowl game, to Oklahoma State, blown out by Alabama, and barely beating Appalachian State, who for the class of 2017 till now has mostly 2-star recruits with Rivals.com. Of course, there's plenty of blame to go around for this mess, poor tackling, dumb penalties, drop passes, and so on. But honestly, It's everything to blame. Now, I hope Blake James and or Dave Epstein hears this, or have friends that hear this, because what I have to say could help the program and possibly the university itself. Now, there are rumors that the Board of Trustees doesn't care or understand what needs to be done to help this program. But if that's true, well, they should care and or understand. Why? Because football generates revenue. A football coach with a solid staff wins championships and draws large volumes of crowds. This job for a head coach at Miami, it's a very complicated, unique, special skill that requires a specific formula for talent evaluation, recruiting, player development, and coaching the players the right way. And unfortunately, there are maybe half a dozen head coaches out there that can fit this skill level that are unavailable as of right now. Now, Manny Diaz, and I'm not busting him, doesn't have the formula needed. He doesn't know how to apply it. And it's not fair to put him in a situation such as this. The only way for Miami to return to glory is for a coach to step in with that winning formula. What Manny is doing right now doesn't work. Depending on how this season goes, there may or may not be a time for change once again. Howard Schlesenberger, Jimmy Johnson, Craig Erickson, and Butch Davis need a formula to construct a powerhouse football program. Maybe it's time to be needed again. And that is what I've got to say for the commentary this evening, Gary. What do you think?
I think you put some work into that.
I did.
I can see that.
Yeah, well, I've watched commentaries from the news guys and Bill Maher and so on, and I studied on how they did it, and that's how I applied it. So, what do you think? I mean,
all right. So there's one thing you did say in there that really struck me a little bit, and I think you're right, and that you said there's about 6 guys in America that you could see on the surface check the boxes of what the University of Miami needs to be successful in football. And, without saying identify the 6 for me, I think you're probably in the ballpark. And most of them are not hireable. I mean, you're not going to get Nick Saban. You can't get Nick Saban. Could you bring Nick Saban to Miami and within a couple of years contend for the national title? Absolutely. He's not coming here. He's about to retire at Alabama. You're not getting Dabo. You're not getting Urban Meyer.
No, he's a Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to include a Ryan Day in there. I mean, there might not even be 6. Okay, but the guy that's on everybody's mind, Mikester, and you obviously know who it is, and that's Mario. And the question is, can they get Mario? And I've spoken about this a lot this week on some of our other shows and stuff, and I don't know what you've heard or not heard, or what everyone's heard or not heard, but I think they can get Mario. I really do. I think they can get Mario, but they cannot get Mario without the most complete, unwavering commitment to this program and getting this program straight that maybe has ever existed in the history of college football. Because Mario knows he's been around the block enough now, and he knows what he needs to get Miami football back to being Miami football. And he's not coming here if they're not giving it to him. And I'm not talking about, $50 million or whatever, or, I'm not talking about anything stupid. I'm talking about enough money for staffing at every level of the program so that he can hire the best people. He can hire the best coordinators. He can hire the best position coaches. He can hire the best people in the position office. He can hire the best secretaries. He can hire the best analysts. That's what Mario Cristobal is going to be looking for from the University of Miami. Okay, it's Mikester. It's not about pay me $10 million like Alabama pays Nick Saban. No, it's not going to be about that. It's going to be about pay me my fair market value. Don't be ridiculous and ask me to make a fool out of myself. Mario Cristobal is going to be more concerned with all the other things I mentioned. you know, proper nutrition for the players, you know, enough academic advisors to make sure they do well in the classroom. I mean, this guy is as detail-oriented as any human being I've ever seen. And, you know, you probably could tell I know him pretty well, and I know how this guy works. And he is the ultimate CEO for a college football program at this stage of his career. He's gone to school. He's learned under Saban. He's been a head coach for 10 years. He has experience. He's seen what works. He's seen what doesn't work. He's hired a bunch of coaches. He knows what a good coach looks like. This guy checks every box for me of what the University of Miami should want to get itself out of this absolute mess it has gotten itself in for the last 20 years. And you know what? They better summon the will to try to do it, because if they don't, they should just come forward. And I said this the other day, just come forward and stop lying to everybody and say, we are not serious about getting this program back to the greatness that it once achieved. And then everybody can act accordingly. You know, like they do have football programs at Purdue. They have a football program at Indiana. They have a football program at Illinois. They have a football program at Boston College. They have a football program at Wake Forest. They have donors at all those schools that donate to the program. They have boosters at all those schools. They have people that go to the games at all those schools and enjoy it and all that. You can still have all of that here at Miami. But if you want to compete for championships, if you want to be able to go line up in Charlotte and battle Clemson for the ACC title, if you want to make the playoffs and have a chance to play for national titles, Mikester, you better make a commitment like what I talked about.
Exactly. You hit the nail right on the head, buddy. You and I both. Gosh, we got to meet.
So, Mikester, they can get Mario. I believe they can get Mario if they move. If it comes to the point where they decide they have to make a change with Manny, and I don't think they're there yet. I don't think it's reached that point yet. I think Manny still is in there battling. But if it ever got to that point, if they moved quickly and efficiently, I think they could make a run at Mario. I really do, and I think if the commitment was complete, he would listen. But if it's not complete and it's a joke, like they ought to just not waste his time, because it'll be embarrassing to everybody. You're not approaching that guy with a pellet gun. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's an embarrassment right now. Look what happened. I mean, you get blown out by Alabama. You lose to FIU. I mean, come on, man. Get the damn thing on track here. Come on. I mean, I understand they care about academics. This is what I'm hearing. Okay, I care about academics. I think the academics should come first, but you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay,
exactly.
You can have great academics and you can have a great football program at the same time. Look at Notre Dame. I rest my case.
Now, the next question that I know you have, because you came to the show very well prepared tonight, is the University of Miami going to be willing to make a commitment like that if and when the time comes that they have to make that decision? That's not something we know yet. We don't know that yet, Mikester. There's going to be there'll be a lot of conversations in the coming weeks about that at all levels of the university, and they're going to have to decide whether they have the will to do that. Can they do it if they want? 100% they can do it if they want. There's many creative ways to get these things done. Oh, you got to come up with $6 million for a buyout. Okay, let's say you do a 6-year contract. You budget $1 million a year. You get an interest-free loan for the $6 million. You pay Oregon their $6 million, and you pay the $6 million off over the 6 years, $1 million a year. You can fit that into your budget. There's ways to skin every cat. You have to have the will. You go find the way, and that'll be something that will be determined in the coming weeks, whether the University of Miami can summon that will to straighten this situation out, because it's embarrassing them right now.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt, Gary. Without a doubt, man. Yeah. Well, we still got 75% of football left, so we can't really. And it's still Manny's. It's still Manny's show. It's still Manny's opportunity. I'm sure Manny doesn't like all this conversation, not just on this show, but that's going on all over the country. I mean,
Miami has been the talk of the country the last few days, and it's all been about how it's a mess and Manny's got to go and this and that. I'm sure he doesn't like 1 second of it, but he still has a chance to do something about it. You know, if they come out and they play good football these next couple months and they win the Coastal and get to Charlotte, Manny's not getting fired. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yep, you got it, Gary. Well, I'll let you go, bud. Let some other guys get on the show, and give a shout-out to all the fans out there who have gone through this hellhole that you could call a mess. And we'll talk to you next week. All right?
All right, Mikester. Yep, thank you for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 845. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Yeah, Gary, how you doing?
What's up, Mr. Greg? How you doing this week?
Oh, great. Another grand performance. Okay.
Did you come down for the game?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to any games until I get rid of Manny. This is a joke. All right. I want to start by saying I know you love Mario. He has a nice team. Please don't ever mention him in the same breath as Nick Saban and
no.
Sweeney and Urban Meyer. Come on, you guys got a losing record. Give me a break.
Okay, but wait, time out. Okay, 2 things. You can't use the losing record as father, Greg. He started a program at FIU that was on probation that had a weight room and a broom closet. Okay, I mean, you can't hold those first few seasons at FIU against them. I mean, it's unfair. That's number one. Number two, he's 20 years younger than Nick Saban. So he's got a lot of coaching ahead of him, and we don't know what his record's going to look like 15, 20 years from now. So that's not really fair to even compare that either. And I wasn't certainly suggesting that he's at Nick Saban's level. Nick Saban is at a level of his own. But I think you would agree that of the younger up-and-coming coaches in college football right now, that Mario's right there with any of them.
What about the coach of Oklahoma?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Absolutely. Do you think he's hireable at the University of Miami?
No. Why would he come here?
Of course, right.
Okay.
But I agree with you. He's he's in that age. He's in that age group also, or younger. Yeah. I mean, I'm not quite sure how old Lincoln Riley is. Probably closer to 40.
He's in his 30s.
Is he still in his 30s? Yeah. All right. So I mean, so that he's obviously a little, even younger. But yeah, I would put him in that classification as a guy that looks like he's going to win a lot in college football. But there aren't a lot of these guys.
Okay, you also have to understand Mario had Justin Herbert as his quarterback. The guy's a fantastic quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's go on to forget about I mean, I'll take Mario over Manny every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Okay. Let's just start it. Is Manny running a flag football team? What? Don't you have to hit in practice? I mean, you can get hurt any time playing football, right? You have to hit. Have you ever seen a worse tackling team in your entire life?
I mean, they're the worst. They're the worst in the country. They're the worst in the country right now, Greg.
I know. The D-line was dominating. Did anyone set the edge on the D-line? That why this kid cut back every time and ran wild? This guy's a moron. Okay, let's talk about the attendance. How many people were at that game the other day, would you say?
Probably 40,000.
You think there was 40,000 there?
Yeah,
okay, how many do you think are going to be there this week?
Probably 10.
5,000?
I'd say 10.
Oh, 10, okay. All right, this kid Lucas, tremendous prospect, comes for the game the other day. You're going to compare that game day experience to Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Texas A&M.
No.
You think he wants to come here and watch this garbage?
No.
We got
think
9 recruits right now. Based on Manny's great plan for recruiting, we're going to end up with 0 recruits at the end of the year.
I think they're going to hit I think they're going to end up hitting the transfer portal again.
The only way we could keep these players is if they bring in a guy, Mario or someone else, Lane Kiffin or someone like that. Because nobody wants to play for this guy. It's a joke. But by the way, the transfer portal, 3 guys he brought in this year. DeAndre Johnson, what has he done? Nothing. Tyreek Stevenson got smoked for 2 touchdowns. Maybe now we know why Georgia wouldn't play him on the outside. And the other Rambo is doing really well. So he's 1 for 3.
I wouldn't say 1 for 3. I wouldn't say 1 for 3. You're not going to dismiss Tyreek Stevenson just because he had. I mean, he bit on the stop and go. He screwed up. No arguing about it. But you can't just say, "Oh, he's not any good." I mean, come on, Tyreek's been okay.
He's okay.
He was pressing. He was trying probably a little too hard to make a play, and he screwed up. No argument.
Okay.
But I wouldn't call him a failure out of the transfer portal. I mean, isn't that a little too much?
Okay, well, you give up 2 touchdowns. That's not playing well, in my opinion. And this Greg McElroy, the announcer, said we had the 2nd best roster in the ACC. How's that working out? How many games are we going to win this year, Gary, honestly, if you had a bet right now?
Well, I predicted 9 before the season. If I had a bet right now, I'd say 7.
Okay, so we're going to win. You think we're going to win? Okay,
I think they'll get better. I think they're going to be in a lot of close games. I think they'll win some, they'll lose some.
Okay, my last quick point. Why was De'Aaron King and Cam Harris playing at the end of that game? For what reason? That kid was hurt.
He was hurt. Yeah,
Why don't they give these kids a chance? Why can't Cody Brown carry the ball once in a while? You got to be kidding. You hurt this kid. This kid was hurting, and they keep him in a blowout. I'm done. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that one, Greg. All right, Greg. Thank you as always for being part of the show, man. I feel your pain. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go now to the 786. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Hey, what's up, everything? How you doing this week?
Hanging in there, Gary. Hanging in there.
I'm sure you're prepared. You're probably not as prepared as Mike Kane was, but I'm sure you're prepared.
No, I haven't. I haven't put that much effort into this. Normally don't anyway, but just speak from what I see. But it's hard to follow up those 2 great calls you've had. Gary, a couple of years ago, I broke a story in this area, and some people gave me credit, some didn't, some dismissed it. You were kind of, I guess, open to it. You never really went one way or the other with it. And we're talking about the issue now that nationally is an embarrassment with regards to Manny. But I made it clear to you a long time ago. In his first year, he was not the guy for the job. We had the right guy and his agent and Mario's agent ready to get something done. And you've had two members, as I told you way back when, 2 members of the BOT ready to go, because it has to be a 2-headed monster approach, which means 2 guys have to lose their jobs, one being Blake James and the other at that point being obviously Manny Diaz. And for whatever reason, then they wanted to keep their jobs, and you know who flip-flops like he always does to make everybody happy. You know who his name is on the BOT. And then it was, well, maybe we could still make something work if we just bring Alonzo in. And Manny wasn't having any of it. And Blake wasn't having any of it. Because why would you bring in someone that's going to take your job down the road? And that's why that didn't happen.
He wasn't taking any job down the road. That had nothing to do with it.
So it has everything to do with it, because the bottom line is this.
Alonzo wasn't going to take anybody's job.
At one point, there was acceptance from those two same guys that are being talked about today, Gary. Yes.
No, I understand.
And he's still
but Alonzo did not get hired because they were afraid he was going to take their job. Alonzo didn't get hired because Manny knew that if things went bad, he was going to be calling it out all over the building, and he didn't want to deal with it. But he wasn't going to become the head football coach. He wasn't going to become the head football coach.
No, he wasn't going to become the head football coach, but he would bring in the new head football coach, was Mario the whole time. And I was trying to tell that to everyone for a long time, and then it died, and now we're back again, and we're bringing it up again. And it makes no sense to talk about anything. You mentioned earlier that you still can get Mario. I'm going to tell you why you can't get Mario. Until that moron is fired, and he came on your show, and, you didn't talk to him all softballs, but, for the most part, it had to be something positive. Until that guy's gone, nobody will consider this a worthwhile opportunity that understands this will be a good job down the road. It won't. No one's going to take the job while he's there. Here's the next thing. The administration and the same BOTs, all except two, they don't care. They don't care. They didn't care back then. They don't care now. And they're not going to care tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, it's self-sufficient. That's a component of the university that's self-sufficient. And as was put out in the paper today and put out in the media again today, Julia Frank told our AD, you're on your own. Figure it out. That's not going to change, Gary. So for us to get upset about Manny and 2 years and buyouts, this is all crap. This is a waste of time. Nothing is going to change. If they fire him, it's a move to appease the loyal small fan base that spends the money, that buys the season tickets, that gives the donations. It's to appease that small group of people. They don't care. They just don't care. And the sooner we all accept this, the better off we'll be, and we'll stop wasting our time, our money, our interest. And the loyal ones, like the old guys like you and me, we'll stick around. We're always going to watch and root the kids on, but we know it's just going to be like an FIU. And to listen to all these years of everybody attacking Mario, he couldn't win. Let me explain something to Greg, who seems to have some basic misconceptions about being a head coach, okay? And he turned around a program that Don Strock left in shambles under NC2 probation. They had a grand total of 32 scholarships. 32, Gary.
I know the whole story. Yeah, I agree.
He built it from the ground up. And for all that transpired with another former UM guy with a humongous ego who has his own issues, in Pete Garcia, it didn't work out at the end, even though he put FIU on the map. He put that little campus and Tamiami Trace on the map. And it didn't work out, whatever, egos got involved, whatever. He comes to help. He's got no job, but you understand he's got a body of experience. You know how valuable it is to go through that experience, to go from nothing to something? That's still a process. At the end of the journey, it didn't work out well, but he still has value, Gary. And he goes to a Treasure Coast High School, and there's an issue with the guy from Auburn, who's on staff now, by the way. Okay? There's an issue there. That AD in Auburn grad calls our AD, who then scolds Al Golden, who scolds Mario. That afternoon, Mario has a job. That Saturday, he has a job at Bama. And that's the story. So if anybody thinks that anything's going to change until Blake James is dismissed or reassigned, he'd be great in the finance department. Until that happens, this is all a waste of time. So let's put our emphasis and our interests all on the kids and hope that the kids can get better despite the lack of quality teaching on a daily basis. Manny Diaz has not forgotten how to teach tackling. Okay, let's cut that crap already. The guy has been all over the place. The guy has been under Pete Carroll, every component, everything that he teaches. It's the same stuff, Gary. It's kids that either care.
All right, let me correct you on one thing. I hear what you're saying, but I want to correct you. I want to correct you on one thing, and I think a lot of people will be interested in this. The Miami Board of Trustees, okay, and no argument from me, I'm sure anybody else, that in years past, over the last 2 decades, they have not had the level of interest in the athletic program and the football program that they needed to have to make sure that it was being funded properly and run properly. I think if they are faced with making a change here at the end of the season, that's going to change. And I'm sensing that in the conversations that I have around the community with different people and different segments of the university community and things like that. I really think that that'll change this next go round. I think that the University of Miami is doing very well as an institution. I think that, while money is definitely an issue for the athletic department, without a doubt, that the university itself, with its ongoing operations, with its endowments, with its fundraising, is in a very healthy place. Might be in the healthiest place it's ever been, quite frankly. And I think that there will be a recognition that they need to pay some attention to the athletic department and help out the athletic department at this time of need, because the athletic department coming out of COVID has been in a tough spot. And I think that is going to happen. I think that if this football thing doesn't work out this year and it keeps going the way it's been going, I think there's going to be a recognition that they need to do what they need to do. And at that point, it's going to be up to Blake James. It's going to be up to David Epstein, who's the liaison for the Board of Trustees to athletics, to define what that means. And they're going to need to do their homework, and they're going to need to know what the hell they're talking about when that time comes. And it could come sooner than later, depending on how things go here over the next month. But if they can get all that done, and Blake James and David Epstein can present a plan to the Board of Trustees that makes fundamental sense, and they can put a plan before Mario Cristobal's representatives that makes fundamental sense for him to look at as opposed to laugh at, then I think there's a chance for all of this to have a happy ending in the next, whenever it is, whether it's this year, next year, whatever. I mean, you're still hoping Manny somehow pulls a rabbit out of his hat and runs the table this year and gets to Charlotte. I think there's also an honesty that it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So they got to start doing their homework now. They need to start figuring out what they need to do, what they're going to need, where they're deficient, how they can straighten it out. And they need to put a plan together, and that's on them. But I don't think that they're going to hit a stop sign with the Board of Trustees, because I think the Board of Trustees sees what's going on. I think they hear what's going on, and I think there's going to be a recognition of the problem.
So let me get this straight. What you're telling me right now is that the person who has displayed the most ineptitude in the selection of leadership at the immediate level, which is your head coaches, that he is going to be involved in anything. Let me just stop you there, Gary, and confirm.
Well, I would have a different opinion, everything except for one thing. I have not heard one person show me let me rephrase that. I have heard one person, but I've heard more than one person. But if you look at the people that are involved in that decision-making process, I don't see any inclination from the president to the members of the Board of Trustees to fire Blake James. So,
which confirms that they don't care.
Gary, they maybe look at it differently. They look at it differently than other people. Maybe they're not looking at the events of 3 years ago in the same light that so many of us out here are. Maybe there's a lot of different opinions, but there's nobody that's saying he has to. I haven't heard anybody at that level say he has to be fired for what he's done. I've heard a lot of people, other people saying they want to see him be fired, like you and a lot of other people, but I haven't heard anybody that's actually going to have a seat at the table at that discussion say that they think Blake James, that they want to fire Blake James. So if I were you and everybody else, I would prepare mentally that there is a better than even chance that the guy that's going to have to figure out a way to put this all together is Blake James. Now, how that might impact the pursuit of Mario, I don't know. And maybe what I'm saying changes as different realities come into play along the way. But right now, do I think Blake James is on the hot seat sitting in the Heck Center, everything? I can't tell you that because I haven't seen that indication.
Well, I can tell you this. The top people that represent coaches, the top guys that represent and work for the major shoe companies, okay, even though we have a contract with Adidas, all the top people don't want to touch us anymore.
See, I think you're full of crap. You don't know that. You do not know that.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Listen, I respect almost every opinion you bring to this show. But what you just said just now is total, utter garbage. You do not know what the top executives at Adidas think of Miami. You don't know what they think of Blake James. You don't know what Phil Knight and the people at Nike think about Miami. They might want to get Miami back. Phil Knight might be thinking if Mario goes to Miami, I want him to take Nike with him. And I want to get Adidas the hell out of there. And I want Miami to become a Nike school again. And you know what, Mario? I love what you did for my program here at Oregon. And you know what? I want Miami back, and I'm going to support Miami now the same way I support Oregon because I appreciate what you did for the program that I care about. So you don't know jack about that everything. Listen, like I said, I respect your opinions to the max, but you do not know what you are talking about right now, and don't make negative statements like that. Look, things are bad enough right now. But don't sit there and say that the executives at Adidas don't respect Miami anymore. Miami's one of the best schools they have, dude.
I never said Adidas. The people that I know, the same people that told me the story way back when, and other stories that I broke with you, is what I shared. Now, I'm just sharing you what I've been told, just like you've shared what you've – I mean, once upon a time, John Gruden was going to be our coach. It's what you shared, what you got. It's what you said. There's nothing different between what you're providing.
And you want to know what? You want to know what everything –
And you were right.
Based on what was – excuse me. Based on what was going on at the time, that story would be written right this minute. So you don't know what the hell you're talking. You don't know what the hell you're talking about on that one either. So just like keep yourself grounded a little bit, okay? I like I said, I respect most of what you bring to the show. I respect most of your opinions. You're a knowledgeable guy. But when you start saying that shoe executives don't want to do business with Miami, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
There are two that would love to have us, and they're both Phil Knight. Jordan brand and the Nike brand would love to have us back. You're right about that, Gary. I'm not saying anything that nobody else knows that's talked about. Come on, Gary. Salespeople talk all over the place. Come on. It's a small world, Gary. Anyway, let's move on. Last thing I wanted to share with you. So we know our reality. The most important thing, there are 87 kids in this program. At least for their sake, the support should stay there for those kids. And I think that there's a consensus across CaneSport for this. It's not their fault that they're here. It's not their fault things aren't working out well. Some care, some don't care as much. But what we're hopefully going to see is the transition for these young players to finally get the opportunity to play. So today a story broke that now the two freshman safeties are going to play. They're going to be in their rotation. And then we're going to get another story, and you notice who was brought up to the media room today. Another young guy at defensive end was brought up. So they're starting to do what? Give opportunities to all the kids that have earned it, and more that's going to happen. Do I agree that we can still win 6 to 7 games? Absolutely we can. There's more than enough talent in that locker room, Gary. There's more than enough talent in that locker room. We all know that as your leader goes, that's how you go. And that is not a stable locker room. And I think there isn't a person that can acknowledge that there is some sense of stability in that locker room. That would be a total farce. There's nothing there right now. And you've got the same older kids that have been setting the tone every day for the last 8 months, in every activity they do, and they're not performing, Gary. And when those guys don't perform and a young guy is on your heels, leadership within those units change. So we're going to see, I think, an evolution here of the young kids starting to take over little by little. And with that, there's going to be some obvious breakdowns, mental breakdowns. But I think at the end, if they're given the opportunity, if they're brought along and they continue to develop and get better, you're going to see a nice finish to the end of the season, which would be the last 4 weeks. I don't know if you agree with that, disagree, but that's what I'm seeing. What I'm hoping for.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I think that it's going to have to be in a controlled manner. I think that if you go too far too quick with that, it's going to lead to losses, which is going to lead to Manny being fired. I don't think you're going to see like this great rush to say put Bubba Bolden and Gervin Hall, for example, on the bench. I just don't. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think that when coaches make these decisions and they're under the stress that these coaches are going to be under, I don't think that they're going to think that throwing a true freshman out there when the game's on the line in the fourth quarter is going to be their ticket to success. And I'll believe it when I see it. James Williams was out there Saturday. He got some plays out there and stuff. I don't think Cam played very much, but the point I'm making is coaches tend to go with guys that they know what they're doing. And it's probably a lot easier to get Gervin Hall tackling properly than it is to get Cam Kinchins ready to go 50 plays against Virginia. So I agree with what you're saying to a point, but I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean, I wouldn't say giving them 50 snaps, but I would say they'll play when they can put them out there, no doubt. All right, everything. I got to let you go, man. You always want to go with your best.
I got to let you go. Thank you as always for being part of the show, man. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Got to calm myself down a little bit. Listen, I love that guy's opinions, whatever, but sometimes he gets a little bit over the top, and to start suggesting. Listen, I think Nike, for example, would love to get Miami back from Adidas. Love, and if Miami is fortunate enough to hire Mario Cristobal, I would almost bet that will happen sooner rather than later. I'm not sure when the Adidas contract is up, but I'm totally convinced Nike absolutely wants to get Miami back. They were very sore about losing them in the first place. And I don't know that the Adidas partnership is, it's gotten the athletic department a little more money, I think, but I'm not sure beyond that it's been such a grand slam home run for Miami. So I would almost predict that Adidas will be back one day. Let's go out to the 504. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Sure, what's up, man?
Who's this?
How you doing? This Roland from New Orleans.
Hey, what's up, Roland? How you doing this week?
Man, I'm good, man. There's a lot of tension going on this line. My goodness. I never heard you.
He gets too negative sometimes. That's all. It's just he goes too far.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Totally.
It's doom and gloom, Roland. It really. It is. Things aren't great right now, but it doesn't mean every single thing is.
Things are real bad.
I agree.
Really, really bad.
Yep.
But you got one thing about the fans, they really support the team, and it's it's tough, man. It's really, really frustrating when you look at a program like the University of Miami, all the great players that came out of the program, the brand itself, and to see the performance, it's terrible. It really is. But I'm not going to go toward, making comments toward a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. But I would make a suggestion, and this is not, this is my opinion, not any expert at all. But when you try to look at it from the top down, as an AD, and I just want to get your thoughts on just a couple of things. Alonzo Highsmith, Gino Torretta, those two guys. Can we just start with those two guys and then focus on a head coach third? Just if we could implement Torretta as AD and Highsmith over the entire football operations, can we just start with those two guys? I want to get your thoughts on that first.
All right, I was a big proponent of bringing Alonzo into the building as a de facto GM of football. I think his attitude, his mindset, knowledge is exactly what this athletic department needs. There's nobody in that building that has ever accomplished anything at the top level of college football. There's nobody in that building that knows what it's even supposed to look like, and that's a big problem. And there's so many areas of the program that need to be fixed. And to me, number one on the list is personnel acquisition, evaluation. And I thought Alonzo could help enormously in that area. I thought he could come in and put an NFL scouting department together inside the building to where, I mean, if you go back, I don't know if you pay attention to our State of the U series that we do every summer, but if you go back and you look at the last 5, 6, 7, 8 recruiting classes that this program's had, I mean, they're blowing a half a recruiting class almost every year. I mean, and every year it's self-imposed probation. I mean, that's why Miami football, as much as anything, it's not that Manny Diaz stinks or anything, or Al Golden stunk, or Mark Richt was over the hill or whatever. The biggest reason that Miami football can't get over the hump is because of all the mistakes that are made on personnel. I mean, so I thought that Alonzo could get that done if he got in the building. It came close. It was close, Roland. They almost got him in there, but at the end, Manny rejected it. Yeah.
Let me tell you why. You and a really good friend of mine, former Cane, and I can't tell you the amount of money that they offered Alonzo. It was an insult, man. It was such an insult what they were offering him.
No, it wasn't.
It was just.
No, I don't know who told you that, but that is 100% not accurate.
Okay.
There was a booster. There was a booster that was going to pay his salary in full for 3 years, and they were going to match what he was making at the Cleveland Browns, and he was going to give Miami the money to do that. And it was not about money at all. Alonzo was very comfortable with the number. It was very fair to him. I'm sure it's more than he's probably making right now with the Seattle Seahawks. He was going to be very fairly compensated. It wasn't going to cost the athletic department an extra cent, and they still didn't do it.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, I don't know who told you that otherwise, but that's just not true.
Yeah, and next, discipline. This team has no discipline whatsoever, and leadership. Can you give me one person on offense and one person on defense that's just giving some type of emotions? It's almost like everybody's just going through the motions. Just going through the motions.
I can tell you who the leaders are.
No accountability.
I can tell you who's trying to be leaders. I mean, on offense, De'Ara King is the greatest leader you'll ever see. I mean, kid's unbelievable. Leads both by example and, just with his presence in the program and in the locker room. You will never see a better leader than De'Ara King. I think Mike Harley is trying very hard to be a leader with some of the younger guys and stuff. On the defensive side of the ball, Zach McLeod comes to mind. He's trying to be a leader. He's an older guy. He's been through the battles. Tyreek Stevenson's trying to be a little bit of a leader with the secondary guys. So there's some guys that are trying to be leaders that, have the capability maybe to do so, but they can't solve the tackling problems by themselves, no matter what they say and no matter what example they set.
Another comment. As far as the season, do you think they will go through an entire season with Manny Diaz, or do you think they will let him go before the season concludes?
I think that these next couple games need to go better. If if these next couple games don't go well and go the way the Alabama game went, or turn into the Michigan State game, I think Blake James is going to have some tough decisions to make, because if they lose to Virginia at home on Thursday night, a week from Thursday, I mean, if you think the outcry is bad now, it's going to be double what it is now at that point. And Blake can be criticized by everybody, and there's certainly a lot of justification to criticize him. I mean, he totally screwed up in the way he handled the coaching transition after Mark Richt. I mean, it's indefensible. It was athletic director malpractice. Yeah, it was athletic director malpractice. Even if you ended up in the same place with Manny, you still had to go out and do a national search and see who your candidates were. I mean, without question. I mean, it's not like Manny didn't have any pedigree. Manny didn't have any experience as a head coach. So there was no reason to just hand him the job without doing a proper national search. It's indefensible, no argument. Okay, now, but here we are 2.5 years later, Roland. Correct. Blake James doesn't want to get fired. Okay, Blake James does not want to get run out of South. He doesn't want to get run out of South Florida. Okay, so he might, his loyalty to Manny Diaz, I guarantee you, is about up. I mean, it has to be, because if there's any left at this point, then now he's putting his own job and life in jeopardy. Not life in jeopardy, but his life as Miami athletic director in jeopardy, and the whole future for him, takes on a new landscape. He's going to try to save that, in my opinion. He's going to try to create hope. And if it gets to that point, I do think he would pull the plug during the season. He did it when he was faced with it with Al Golden, and I think he would do it again if he's put in that position. I don't think he's there yet. And I think that story will be written against Virginia and North Carolina. And I think that the Canes need to go up there and play good football games. Now, winning at North Carolina is not going to be an easy task by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't know that losing to North Carolina at North Carolina becomes a fireable offense. But I'll tell you right now, losing to Virginia on Thursday night, a week from Thursday, if that game goes the way these other games have gone, I would say I personally think all bets are off, and we would see what happens. But
one last thing.
Yep.
One last thing. You look at D. Wiggins, you look at Mark Pope, you look at a lot of these guys, O-linemen, these guys, I guess, quote unquote, 4-star prospects. Let me ask you, when these guys are at Miami, in your opinion, and you can put me on hold, do you personally feel, when you look at Miami, just the program as a whole, from position, from top down to from bottom up to top down, except for punter, are these guys properly getting developed physically, mentally for the next level?
I think some are, some aren't. Like today we had interviews with some players and coaches and stuff, and one of them was Elijah Roberts, for example, who's a second year defensive lineman in the program. The kid looks phenomenal. I mean, you could see the development taking place with him. You could see how he's being physically built. You saw him flash in the game the other day. You could see that this is a kid that is, without question, headed in the right direction as a football player and just as a physical specimen on the team. Then there's other guys that you look at, like some of the offensive linemen and stuff, who are not showing the same forward progress physically, and you wonder what the hell have they been doing for 10 months? How does that offensive line, with all that playing experience, show up 10 months later worse? Like, how does that happen? Physically worse, mentally worse, worse everywhere. I mean, how does that happen?
I don't know, man. All I'm gonna say is this, man. I appreciate everything you do. You have a great show, man. A lot of great callers. I know people are in uproar, and they should be, man, because there's a lot of some bullshit that's happening. And I'm not gonna blame those kids. It's the adults, and it's not happening, and they're not making it happen. And they gotta make a change, like ASAP. They need to. Manny Diaz he shouldn't even have a job on Monday.
Okay, but what if they come out against? Obviously, they're going to win Saturday. What if they come out against Virginia? and play a solid game and beat Virginia looking good.
Virginia.
You're not firing Manny after that.
Okay. All
so
right.
I think you got to see how it goes.
See how it goes. All right. Just okay. I appreciate it, man. Just put me on hold.
All right, Roland. Yep. Thanks for being part of the show. 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go now to the 973. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, can you hear me? Gary,
there you are. Now I can hear
Gary.
you. I think we missed a couple Garys in there, but it's okay. It's all good. What's up, Ross?
What you got? Not my reception. Listen,
what you got for us this week?
I hear all these talk. Yeah, I hear all this conversation, and I'm gonna say this. Might not be popular right now. We'll be lucky. I won't be surprised if we're only up 13 at the end of the first quarter against these boys, because things look in disarray, Gary. Let's call it what it is.
Well, you might be right, Ross. I'm going to tell you why. I don't think De'Aaron King's playing this week. So you're going to have most likely Tyler Van Dyke starting on Saturday, and, who knows how it's going to go.
And, Gary, I don't like him. I'm going to be honest with you. You could say that,
why?
Be careful. I don't like him because, one of the things.
Based on what?
Let me tell you some of the stuff I saw on TV. Like, not just this week, the week before. There was a couple of times when we thought the time was against Alabama when King was hopping, limping. In every game I've ever watched in my life on TV, and I'm watching big-time football, if a quarterback hurt a pinky, the backup is running to a center, and he's getting some snaps, and he's looking ready to play, this guy's asking King, is he okay? Get your behind ready to get in the game. He not once looked like he ever wanted to get on that field. He was taking no snaps. When King ran off the field the other day, the last game, getting to the locker room, the freaking TV focused on him. He wasn't taking no snaps, no throws, nothing. We look organized. We look like a bunch of buffoons.
All right, I would not give up on a young quarterback over what you feel you saw at that moment. Look,
I don't trust him. But we're gonna move on because there's plenty of other stuff.
No,
okay?
But listen, the kid. I'm hoping they rest De'Aaron King this weekend, as it looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, but Gary, when he gets in the game, for the games that he got into, he hasn't made a pass yet. He got
understood. That's why he needs to play. He's one play away from being the quarterback. Like, he's got to get some experience. This is a great place to give it to him. Let De'Aaron rest. No more hits for De'Aaron this weekend, and let Van Dyke play and let Jake Garcia play. But lately in practice, I will tell you guys this, and I started off at the beginning of fall saying I thought Garcia was right there with Tyler Van Dyke, and I've seen Tyler Van Dyke kind of assert himself a little bit on the practice field. Like, if you ask me who do I think is more ready to go into the game right now, based on what I see at practice, I would say Tyler Van Dyke. For whatever reason, I don't know if he hit.
I think Garcia is more talented. Well,
I think Garcia has more of an it factor in the big picture. Yes. I just don't know that at this point of his true freshman year that he's ready to do it. I mean, I feel based on what I'm seeing that he's not, because even like in simple drills in practice where there's not even defenders, I'm seeing him make more errant throws than Tyler Van Dyke.
Okay. All right.
And we only get to see a portion of practice, so I'm not saying that this is the absolute declaration on this subject, but based on what we get to see, I have noticed a shift as practice has continued since the beginning of August.
Is that a result of just more reps to the backup? Because he's the first backup, he gets a little bit more reps than.
I don't know. I mean, I see them getting equal reps. Right. I see them getting equal reps, Ross. Yeah, I don't. Gary, I don't know what goes on when we're not out there, but when we're out there, they're getting equal reps.
I trust you.
And a lot of them, Ross. They get a lot.
I'm just more a Garcia guy, but hey, if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. Because every time I watch him, he runs.
Yeah,
he doesn't make
But you're a Garcia guy based on absolutely nothing. Neither one of these guys has done anything.
No, I didn't say. I just said we are allowed to have our personal opinion, personal feelings, right? So
but it's based on nothing.
Garcia.
I'm not a Garcia guy. No, I'm not a Garcia guy. I'm not a Van Dyke guy. I have nothing to base that on.
Well, Gary,
so I'm not going to base. I'm not going to base whose camp I'm in based on some throws on the practice field. Like, you can't do that.
I don't care, but I'm not doing that on. I'm doing for my style of guy that I would like to see. I'm a fan. I'm allowed to have that. I don't want to get into that. But you don't know.
I understand, Russ, but you don't know what their styles are. You don't know any. I get it. You want to line up behind somebody, but we don't have. None of us do, including myself. We have no foundation to say that one is better than the other right now.
Gary, allow me to be. I don't want to waste time on it because I want you to cut me off too soon. Let's stop wasting time on this because put it like this. I like more what I saw in the spring game than I like him more in the spring game than I like Van Dyke. Can we end it? Can we end it on that?
Absolutely. Next topic.
All right. All right. Now, check this out. I can't remember the name of the kid right now, Gary. I need you to help me out. The big time defensive lineman that went and played at Houston, and I think he only played. I think he played it 3 years and then he got into the league. Right? I forgot who it was. It was big time defensive lineman. Nobody expected him to pick Houston, and he picked Houston. And he played a little bit of nose. He played a little bit of D tackle and some DN. Right now, somebody that's listening will help me out later and come up with his name. So guys, you could get a big time defensive lineman at Houston on the field, but you can't find not one snap. Leonard Taylor, not one snap. So now I'm going to ask you, Gary, from what the stuff that you've seen and you hear, and the people that you know around the campus and inside the trenches and stuff, what's the word on that? What's the word on that?
I think that Leonard Taylor came into the program as a 5-star, expecting to play, expecting a lot of things to happen, expecting to get a lot of big NIL deals, expecting to be out there for the Alabama game, expecting. He was a 5-star, top recruit, getting his ass kicked by everybody through recruiting, yada, yada, yada. So I think there was an expectation that when he came in. I think there's a reality for a freshman lineman on the offensive or the defensive line that it's extremely difficult, after 3-4 weeks of practice, that you're ready to handle being in a college football game. And I think that even though in the big picture he's ultimately going to be better than John Ford and better than Nesta Silvera and better than Jordan Miller, I think that Jeff Simpson, who I trust, and Manny certainly, you can rip Manny all you want for a lot of things, and yeah, he's the same guy that waited too long to get Greg Russo out there too. But
you stole one from you stole that because that was you must be
no argument from me on that one. However, in this case, they clearly don't think that Leonard Taylor is ready to be in the game because they haven't played him one down.
That's a shame because we're the only program. We're the only program I know year after year after year after keep telling us that our young guys, our monster recruits, is not ready to get on the field.
But now, Ross, so this is coming with a slippery slope because you got these coaches making these decisions over here on the left, and you got Leonard Taylor, who is probably pretty upset that he's not playing, and we've gotten a little bit of a glimpse. We have an NIL deal with Leonard. So, we've gotten a little bit of a glimpse of this in some different ways, and that I'm not going to go into detail on this show.
No, and I appreciate that.
But what I'm seeing in my interpretations of what I'm observing is I think he's upset, and I think that this is a danger zone right now with him. And
we're don't play a stupid game with him because remember that one-time transfer is still in effect. You could do a one-time transfer and play anywhere.
Without question. And I wholeheartedly believe that that's a kid that will have no hesitation to pick up his show and take it 5 hours up the Florida Turnpike.
And if he leaves, Gary, they need to be fired because then you're watching. Then other 5 stars are watching and seeing this.
Okay, but Ross, let me ask you a question. How old are you, Ross? How old are you?
I'm not going to give you my age. But
I mean, are you like? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? That's what I'm getting.
But you know,
okay,
trust me. I was at the game. I was at the game when freaking Penn State beat us in the rain, and they all in their full white. Yeah. So. All
right, Ross. Here's what I'm getting at. What would your opinion be if you were John Ford's dad? What would your opinion be if you were Nesta Silvera's dad? What would your opinion be if you were Jordan Miller's dad? Like, do those kids deserve, if they are as good or better than this hotshot freshman coming in? And I'm not saying they are or aren't. I'm not casting judgment on that, because just like I talked about with the quarterbacks, we don't have a frame of reference on Leonard Taylor. We have no freaking clue where Leonard Taylor's at in his development right now as a college football player. Not one. And I'm way closer to it than you are, and I have no clue. Okay, so the point I'm making is... Ross, don't interrupt me. I'm going to let you talk in a minute, because I'm asking you a question at the same time.
Sure.
So do those kids deserve to be pushed to the side because Leonard Taylor had a 5-star label coming out of high school and he was a top recruit, and you know, because of that and because of his expectations, if he's not out there playing 30 snaps a game, that he feels like he was lied to and disrespected and everything, and he's not getting out of it what he thought he was getting out of it at Miami. You know, so this is not a clear-cut, easy issue that they're having to deal with in this situation, in my opinion.
So you're telling me, you're asking me a question, but it's probably a bad deal to always answer a question with a question. But I'm just going to do it in a way anyway, respectfully, by saying this. So you're telling me, I'm arguing about the past, but you're telling me, come Saturday, it's possible they might not give him a snap?
He hasn't had one yet this year.
So Gary, you know what that tells me?
He'll play Saturday. Ross, he'll play against Central Connecticut State. He'll play Saturday. That'll be his first game action. There's no doubt he'll play Saturday. But
because you know what it is. Wait. But Gary, if I'm not mistaken, right? Listen, something's going on here. Every time we turn around, we get the 5-star recruits and they become a dud. Because here's my thing. This is that bad bucket. Whoa. How do you become a dud because you haven't made the field in your first 3 games in college? Because I watch North Carolina State, I watch Clemson, I watch Auburn, first of all, I'm very aware of who these recruits are, who these kids are. All of them, every freaking single position, including the kicker. And I watch all these programs get their guys on the field as freshmen.
On the offensive and defensive lines? You're seeing true freshmen. You're seeing true freshmen thrown out there on the offensive and defensive lines at top programs around the country.
100%. That kid Lawrence that played for the Giants right now, when he got to Clemson, that defensive line was loaded. It was loaded. It was drunk. It was literally drunk, and they still played him. I know the Auburn defensive line. These are a bunch of big boys, good boys, fast boys, this one, that one. I know all of them. All across the country. Right now,
I would have to do like a hell of a lot of research that I'm not going to do.
Please.
But I feel pretty sure that if you go down the top 10 programs in America, they're not playing true freshman defensive line.
All right. I promise you somebody on is going to.
You'll have some mid-level programs that don't have the same talent base that would do that. But
you know, Gary, we're wasting a lot of time on this team is just not being coached and performing. There's other programs that just look like they're being coached up. Gary, they're like this are being coached up. And we just come on, Gary.
The coaches have had a hard time so far this year. I would agree with you on that.
Stop playing number 8, okay? Stop playing number 26. We've seen enough. How many times are we gonna keep watching guys run clear, wide open? And please, Gary, please tell Mr. 85, you got one job. You can't block. You can't block anyway, because every time they try to throw a little screens, a little bubble, you whiff on the guy, you almost get our people killed. So you get one job and you miss the touchdown in the end zone. That could have been a momentum changer. We praise you. We talk about this. We talk about this in Maryland. Get the ball to Maryland, and every time we get you the ball, you're dropping the ball. Sit his behind down too.
because the quarterback we have is limited. And anytime he puts the ball in his hand, catch it, please, because he's limited. Yeah, you know he's limited. He's a tough kid, but he's limited. So anytime he drops that, he put that ball directly in your hands, you got to help him out. You got to help him out. Manny looked like a scared puppy on that sideline.
He was rattled in the fourth quarter. I agree.
He's super rattled, man. And you made a great point a couple of years now running. They gave this guy the Lamborghini when he was not ready to even start the ignition. He's nowhere qualified for this. Beating Virginia don't tell me nothing. And I don't think we're beating Virginia. But, guy, you know you watched these 2 games, and you said to yourself, or 3 games, and you said to yourself, man, we're not winning the Coastal. You won't say that right now because you need to keep a show. But you're saying, come on, man. Pittsburgh? We're not beating Pittsburgh, Gary.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not ready to say that. I thought before the season started that despite the problems that I knew existed on defense, that the offense was going to be good enough to lead this team to 9 wins in the schedule. And that's not looking real good right now. I don't see this team losing only one more game the rest of the way. So
exactly. So you kind of answering my question. You know where you're right now, and I'm not trying to read your mind like you tried to read my mind earlier about the whole quarterback thing. You're right now. If we had a Stroop Sharp, if I give you Soup Serve and we're all joking around having some fun, some extra activity liquor, you'll tell me you really think this team is going to win 7 games. Uncoached up. I feel bad. I feel bad for T-Rob.
You mean go 7-5? Yeah, I think that's possible.
I don't want that. I don't want that, but I think that's where we're heading. Look what we got to play.
None of these teams are great. Listen, Ross, you're not going to be an underdog, a sizable underdog in any of these games. You're going to be an underdog going to North Carolina for sure.
And I guarantee you, when if I spoke to you like I did 3 weeks ago, you're telling me after the Alabama game, we should be favored for the rest of the games. And look at the opinion of everybody has changed now. Okay, look at the opinion of everybody has changed. Gary, let me ask you a quick question. Get into your business a little bit. Why don't you have sponsors no more? What's going on?
You mean on this show?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we Sicilian Oven is coming out of COVID, and they took a beating, and are unable to sponsor the show this year. And we have not had another prospect step to the plate. So if you know of anybody, send them my way. On the Lamar Thomas show, we have.
I really like what you're doing. I really like what you're doing with the kids, stepping up and putting some money in their pocket, whatever you're doing. I like that. Yeah. I congratulate you. I salute you for that. And
on the Lamar Thomas show, we have multiple sponsors, and we can.
Yes, you do.
And we're certainly open to more.
Can I make a suggestion? You're going to probably cut me off after this. Can you let Lamar talk a little bit more? That is his show, Gary. That is his show. Can you let him talk a little bit more?
Yeah, all right, Ross. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure Lamar gets more mic time. No problem. What else you got?
Get Mario in here, Gary. Get Mario in here. I'm done with this team as far as
it's not up to me. It's up to the university. That's up to the university.
Let me tell you why. We don't even think about a pride and joy team. Gary, I know you love this team. I can't even go in the public and talk about this team anymore. We are nobodies right now, bro. Nobody respect us. These teams are coming in, throwing down to you, turning the you over. Nobody. Matter of fact, you know what? You know where he can start this at? You know where he can start this? He can start putting his imprint and saying, let's turnover or not, no change. We're done with the change for the rest of the year. He wants to make a statement to the fans and show that he's serious about this. Nobody takes Manny serious on this team. They make a mistake, they mess up, they run right past him. He never chastises them. Never. Some of these big-time coaches around the country, you messed up, you got to go past Mario. Some of these guys, they're getting inside your anus, bro, right there in front of everybody.
All right, Ross. Hey, thank you for being part of the show, man.
Keep me on hold.
Appreciate you. Talk to you next week. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show, and let me see where we are here, and there's so many people on the line right now looking to come on the show. I lost my spot, so give me about 3 seconds, and we'll get it back together here. Let's go to the 917. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's up, Gary? BK Hurricane.
What's up, BK? How you doing this week?
What's going on? Hey, I think the last caller, I think that defensive tackle he was talking about at Houston was Ed Oliver. He was a big 5-star kid.
Well, there was a kid. I know what he's talking about. Wasn't there a kid that transferred? I'm trying to remember who it was.
No. It was a kid that they recruited, and they got him to come to a 5-star kid. Went to right out of high school, went to Houston. Ended up in the NFL, ended up being a pretty decent defensive. Well, he was a pretty damn good defensive tackle in college. I don't know what's going on with him now in the pros, but it was Ed Oliver. That's the kid's name.
Okay. So anyway, what you got for us this week?
Well, in I think the last caller was Ross, right? In his defense, to a little bit, like when you go out in this day and age and you recruit a 5-star player and you get him to come to the school, you have to find a way to get that player on the field because of this damn transfer portal. Like, for example, 2 examples of 5 stars that started on the defensive line, Kayvon Thibodeau at Oregon and Brian Bresee at Clemson. Freshmen started, both of them. You have to find a way. I'm not saying that Leonard Taylor should start, but you got to find a way to keep these 5 stars happy to some degree. I'm not saying start them every game, but at least let them get let them get some burn and maybe not some critical moments of the game. I mean, the way Miami's looking right now, there should be no reason why any freshman shouldn't be able to get some kind of burn, like moving forward. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at the rest of the schedule, and I know a lot of people are saying 7 wins. There's 9 games left. We already got 1 down. I can't see Miami winning 6 of those 9 games. If they could pull off 6 out of those 9 games, Manny deserves to stay. Because all those teams look drastically improved. All those teams look drastically different. I'm going to throw out Georgia Tech.
They do, but they're not at a higher level than Miami is. They're just not. I mean, these are going to be all every game. BK is going to be just like what you saw Saturday.
Gary, but neither was Michigan State.
No, they just made the plays in the fourth quarter. It was a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter, but you got to remember what was left on the field before then. So, like, that was a pretty even game the other day. And they're all going to be. All these teams are all at the same level.
Right, but the only difference is with those other teams, right? Being that all things are equal, like what is the one intangible that would push those other teams past Miami? And that one intangible is not talent. That one intangible is coaching staffs. North Carolina's coaching staff is great.
Yep.
Does Miami have better players up and down the field, player by player, than North Carolina? They probably do.
Not necessarily.
They might. I'm not saying it's 100%, but they might. They might have better players than Virginia, player for player. But what's the intangible? Coaching staff. Virginia has a better coaching staff. What's the intangible with North Carolina State? Coaching staff. What's the tangible with everybody else is they have coaches that have been there and done that. They've been in these situations. So now when you get to the fourth quarter, they're not going to panic like Manny did. So I get the whole thing was, every game is going to be close moving forward. Well, that's a terrible thing if every game is going to be close moving forward because I'll give the other team the edge. Even with this weekend, Georgia Tech and Clemson played, right? And everybody's looking for excuses about Clemson this, Clemson just – I don't care what kind of game Clemson had. Clemson could have had their D- game, and they're not losing like that. They're not. I don't care. Alabama could have their D- game, and they're still beating a Georgia Tech up.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with Clemson. What's happening is that these other teams and these other coaches are developing their players faster than Miami. And that's the intangible. And, we are all agreeing that is the case and Manny's wasn't ready. And nobody's blaming Manny. I'm not blaming Manny. I was one of the guys that wanted to see Manny make it. I was happy with all the changes he made during the off season. He was bringing in Rhett Lashley. He was bringing in these guys. He changed the entire offensive staff. He brought Jed Simpson back. I thought we were going to be great. I was with you. You know what I'm saying? I was with you earlier this year. But then when I saw the product on the field, I was like, wait a minute, something is off. And then Saturday, with the tackling, how they missed 30 missed tackles, the first thing that went through my mind, I never played football on a high level, so to say. You know, I did little league, pee wee league, all that stuff. Messed around with it in high school, but I wasn't great. I wasn't getting recruited or anything. But the one thing that I always remember, even to this day in my advanced age, Gary, I didn't forget how to tackle. This is something you've been doing since you were a kid, and it's something you've done your entire life.
You know, it's funny because
and you forget how to do it.
You know, we sat down. We have the Tyreek Stevenson weekly blog on our site, and we sat down with Tyreek to work on this week's blog, and you know, that's one of the things we talked about was tackling, and you know, he said, like, you know, you start when you're a kid and, you know, you go through high school and college, and it really doesn't really change that much from level to level, you know, and, you know, it's kind of hard to explain, like, what has gone on with, all these guys all at the same time, you know, struggling to make tackles.
Take my word for it. You don't forget how to tackle. That's the first thing they beat into you as a kid when you're playing Little League football. That's the first thing they teach you before they teach you how to catch. But
you know, they clearly didn't work on it enough in training camp. I mean, I can't come up with
muscle memory at this point.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why. But there's got to be a reason why it's so bad across the whole defense. I mean, and the only thing I could put my finger on is they clearly did not work on it enough in training camp at full speed.
Well, Gary, I'm saying it's something else. I'm saying that players take on the personality of their coach, which is something that happens all the time.
Okay, and that's great. But this isn't a personality thing. This is guys not executing their fundamentals well. It has nothing to do with anybody's personality.
Gary, I'm telling you, it's a toughness issue. These kids aren't tough. They're running away from wrapping up these guys. They're just trying to bang into them. I saw it. I saw it all day Saturday. Nobody wanted
I
to
agree
wrap
with you that they're
anybody
not tough. They haven't been tough enough. No argument.
They're not tough. It's a toughness issue. You just don't forget how to tackle, Gary. It's impossible. You just don't. And especially in this day and age, like, you know, my little nephews, they're putting an emphasis on form tackling. You know, like with these little kids, head up, head up, head up. If you don't put your head up, you got to run laps. Head up, head up, head up. See what you hit. I mean, it still sticks with me to this day. I'm thinking, how do you forget how to tackle? The only time where I forgot how to tackle is when I was afraid to tackle somebody, Gary. Like, I just looked at the guy across from me. I'm like, there's no way. Let me tell you what else
is at play, BK. You know, once you have a problem like this, obviously it's on the scouting report and everybody knows it. So it was pretty obvious that Michigan State, the whole week leading up to the game, had practiced being physical with Miami. And, like, you could see it in simple things like even like the simple bubble screens and stuff they were running. I mean, they were hitting those things with such precision, and their players on the perimeter were being so physical, and that's why they were winning. They were more physical. You're absolutely right. But you could tell that was a focus of the game prep. And you know where that came from? The Alabama game. Because we saw Alabama do the same thing. And let me tell you, and I know this for a fact, okay? So you're opening with Alabama. And Alabama's got analysts on top of analysts and more guys watching film and doing scouting reports and playing. There's probably nobody in the country that scouts their opponent better than Alabama. Okay, so Alabama, with 9 months to prepare for Miami, I guarantee had the most thorough scouting report on playing the Hurricanes that you could possibly have. Well, okay, now you're playing 2 weeks later, you're playing Michigan State. Head coach Mel Tucker. Where did he coach a couple years ago?
Alabama.
Alabama. Knows everybody in that building. I guarantee you that Mel Tucker had that scouting report handed to him and had Miami so well scouted and knew exactly where to attack the Hurricanes, because not only did he have the scouting report, but he also had the benefit of the Alabama game film executing the scouting report. So
there's no doubt about that.
No doubt about it at all. Yeah. Yep.
I believe that 100%. But
once you show up and you're not tough enough, BK, you're in trouble.
Right.
Now they're attacking it. Yep.
That Alabama may have given them the blueprint to do it, but Alabama also had the personnel to do it, and that's what disappointed me.
I know, but Michigan State did the same thing without the personnel. They did the
same exactly. They did the exact same thing
without the quality of personnel that Alabama has. They were equally effective.
And that should have been the equalizer.
Yep.
That should have been the equal. Oh, well, you can try, but you don't have Alabama's personnel. You don't have Alabama's top-end speed. You don't have their caliber of wide receiver. You don't even have their caliber of quarterback. You don't have their caliber of offensive line.
Well, all right, but there's only one way you're solving this problem, BK, and that's you got to get tougher yourself, and that's the challenge that this team has before they get to Virginia. All right, I got to let you go. I got a million people that want to get on the show tonight. Hey, thank you as always for being part of it, man. Always love to hear your opinion.
Call back next week.
Yep, give us a call next week. 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out to the 305. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
There, Gary. How you doing?
Who's this?
Schmyra55.
Hey, what's up, Schmyra? How you been, man? It's been so long I didn't even recognize your voice.
Wow. I've actually been at all these games. Probably 3 of the worst games I've ever been to, but I've actually been to all of them. And, it's really just, disheartening. When I was a kid, I remember sitting at the Orange Bowl. I used to go into the stadium like an hour early, and I always used to be able to watch the teams like stretch and prepare and go through their drills. And back in the day, you used to have like Nate Webster patrolling the sideline, just psyching teams out and stuff like that. I mean, these Miami teams, when they stretch and they get ready, they have nothing. I mean, they just look like a bunch of just like guys running through the motions. They don't really care. They're not invested in really the game. And then when the game time comes, they're just it shows. I mean, these guys just really just don't look like they even want to be there. Just kind of just going through the motions. And it really, yeah.
I kind of like walked away from Canes Walk this week with that feeling. Like I watched them come off the bus, and granted it was a noon game and they were woken up early and all that kind of stuff, but they look tired. They just look tired to me. They look like a tired football team coming off the bus this week, and they could definitely use a little bit more enthusiasm, no question.
Even at that Alabama game, I was sitting in, they had these seats that were really close to the field. I mean, these guys are sitting there just kind of just going through the drills, and Alabama comes out, and it looked like an NFL team compared to a JV football team. I've never seen the players, the coaches, just the whole outlook of the whole, it's unbelievable just what was going on. But I don't know. We could get to the next point would be, at what point do you sit there and say to yourself, is it better to take one step back to potentially go 2 steps forward? And what I mean by that is, and I hate to say it, but I mean us squeaking by Appalachian State. So you sit there and say, all right, we're squeaking by an average team. Then you lose to Michigan State. And you're like, all right, well, this isn't going anywhere. And I know, me and you, from the day Manny Diaz was hired, we knew that was a terrible hire. And this is all on, CaneSport going back 3 years ago, when I remember calling every week saying how bad of a hire it was and what Blake James was thinking, and something had to have been wrong, and there were so many other candidates even to interview. So, I mean, at what point is it just, obviously they're going to win this week. I mean, that's a, crazy thing. But, I mean, if they squeak by Virginia and then maybe have a miracle and they beat North Carolina, I mean, this isn't going anywhere. We know that. I'm not, and I heard, so I do listen to the podcast, the days after. Sometimes I can't always call in. But, I mean, I went up to Atlanta with a bunch of buddies. I thought the way you thought. I would not have gone to the game if I didn't think we would at least be competitive. and give me something to cheer about to start the game. I didn't think they were going to win, but be competitive. Be like Florida. They gave them a run for their money. I mean, the scoreboard was a little closer than the actual game, but I mean, to get blown out like that and to have people spend their hard-earned money to go, Canes fans all over the airport, all over everywhere in Buckhead where I was staying, all over dinner where we were, and then to really put on a performance like that's just embarrassing. And it's just really just, when is enough enough? Like when, and I don't know, another point I'd like to make, and I'll stop rambling, is just, you get to the point, God, I forgot my train of thought there for a second. It's I don't know. There's so many things wrong with this program. It's just, this is it. They always say Miami isn't always invested in the program, and I hear it all the time from people. Well, Miami is a beautiful indoor facility. They're getting the recruits, and if Miami ever was right and actually got a competent coach and a competent coaching staff, there's no one could tell me, and I've been around for a long time. I haven't just, started a few years ago. This is many years I've been involved with the high school and all that kind of stuff. If Miami ever got a reasonable head coach that could hire real coaches, Miami would be perfectly fine and could be a top 10 team every year. Like you see what Clemson's going through with some growing pains, and everyone has their ups and downs. But there's no one could tell me that Miami can't get back to where they could be, and they're not invested in the program and all this other crap, because I don't buy that. I think it's just an excuse. I think that Manny Diaz hire was terrible. That Mario Cristobal waiting for you passed on him twice already. I mean, and now everyone wants Mario Cristobal. It was the most obvious hire 7 years ago, and it was even more obvious 3 years ago. And now it's,
Let me stop you for a minute, Shmira. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt 7 years ago, whatever. Like, Mario was still developing. He was still at Alabama, still developing, putting in his time under Saban, learning how that program's run. Then he goes to Oregon for a year, and then he gets the head job at Oregon. Well, now he's been had the head job at Oregon for 3 years. So now he's fully developed. But
one second, he was still more qualified than Manny Diaz. At least he turned around an FIU program, which was 100%. So, I mean, I will never understand. They should do one of those 30 for 30s on how that process took place and what he was thinking and what Blake James was thinking. Because if you pull up Manny Diaz's resume, I mean, you see Middle Tennessee State, Mississippi State defensive coordinator, was run out of Texas, Louisiana Tech, back to Mississippi State, and then was fair at Miami. What has this guy ever done? To even be the defensive coordinator, he was just average. He's a fair recruiter. I don't understand how he was ever given the job. Don't blame him, as you always say, and I always believe that. Don't blame him for taking a job that he was offered for not even. I don't understand why. But I don't know.
I haven't blamed Manny once. Manny was looking out for his career, and absolutely the head job at Miami is better than the head job at Temple. He took a shot, but obviously I agree with everything you've said, and you and I have spoken about this now for 3 years, and we've been in agreement since day one. And what's happening year one, year two to a lesser extent, and now year three is not a surprise at all. So we'll see what happens. What else you got, man? You got anything else?
That's. I mean, I really, I can't look at recruiting anymore because who's going to come here? I mean, so I don't even follow that right now because it's an embarrassment. I mean, what are you going to? I can't. I mean, I don't know. I really just. I mean, the season's over. So what do you do? Do you go to games? I mean, Gary, deep down, do you sit there and say, do you want them to win these games? I mean, I as a fan, a lifelong fan, I'm 41 years old now. Is it? I don't know what to do because this situation is not going to get better. So what? He's the Helton, the guy from USC. So maybe he squeezes out a few wins and then they keep him for another year, and then the same crap happens. He's going to lose some decent games. He's going to get fired eventually in the next year or two. I mean, sometime they're not going anywhere.
I don't see where you can make a case that next year is going to be better than this year. I think it's going to be worse. You lose.
Right, I agree. You lose King. You lose King. I mean, I don't know.
Rambo.
And By the way, you know what another part that really no one talks about? Who recruited all of these guys on the defense that can't make a freaking tackle? There's no depth, but who recruited all these guys? Manny Diaz. There's all these guys. You have no one else to blame but him. I mean, they're handpicked by him, and none of them are getting better. They're obviously getting worse. My last little point is I'm far from ever being an offensive coordinator, but there is no creativity, and even more so in this running game. I mean, they sit there in shotgun and they run left or run right. Michigan State didn't have anywhere near the athlete Miami had the other day, and they're running screen passes, the little creativity. I mean, I don't get it. They run right up the middle. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yep.
I think me and you could sit out there and call some of these plays.
They definitely had the more creative game plan, Michigan State, no doubt about it. All right, Schmira, it's always a pleasure, man.
Well, you got it, Gary.
Thanks for being part of the show. All right, guys, we got a ton of callers tonight. A lot of guys that want to get in here, so I'm going to bring you guys on as fast as I can. Let's try to keep it as direct and to the point as we could possibly make it. Let's start right now in the 757. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Yeah, man, let me tell you something. I'm tired of all the crying, people crying, we ain't going to win, we ain't going to do this. It's Kane. Hey, Meister, I heard you early. I meant to get on early. I ain't going to hold it up. Man, stop the damn crying. Everybody know what it is. If it's James Blake, if it was Randy Shannon, it was Mark Rick, everybody know. We got talent, but these boys looking like straight garbage. I'm going to call them out. You don't want to call them out, Gary? Let's call them out. How the hell Hall going to run right up to the man? He looked at him. I'm scared to hit this bitch. Let me block the block. Your boy T-Rod covered for him. No, T-Rod, you should have said that man missed that shit. He supposed to hit him. He looked right at him and just turned. Got scared.
I've never seen anything like it. I feel so bad for that kid. I don't know what he was thinking, Kane. I don't know what he was thinking.
The hell he was thinking. He must have been smoking some weed or something. Cause goddamn it, I know I was smoking because I was at the game. I came from Virginia. It's all good. And my Dolphins got their ass kicked. I took a double whammy this week. But it's all good. And they look just like the Canes. Dropping balls, turnovers, no problem. Now, Stevenson, good guy. But he ain't no cover corner, bro. You can call it what you want. He better go call Sam Madison. The slowest corner I ever seen in my life was Sam Madison that played for the Dolphins. But when that bitch played bump and run, nobody could get away from him. Stevens got smoked twice. Maybe that's why he didn't play corner at Georgia. I'm not dogging him. He's a good guy. He does his thing. And let me ask you this. For kickoff return, what's that freshman the one that run a 4-1 or 4-1-2, fast as lightning, came in with Romello and George, the other guy that y'all talked about. I can't think of his name.
Richard Smith?
Yeah. Why he don't run kicks back? If he got a 4-1, I want that man at least try one time.
I don't think he runs a 4-1. But
okay, well, 4-2, he's faster than Stevenson. That's what they've been saying. He was one of the fastest receivers on the team. But with all that being said, man, look, we can win, people. We've been down for 20 damn years. Ain't no need to start talking this shit now. Let's win games. Let's see if we can win the Coastal. I ain't talking about firing Manny, man, whatever. They going to do what they going to do. Manny he got to be tougher because a lot of kids ain't got no heart. Point blank it. I watched Fresno State. They balled their ass off against UCLA Saturday night. It's called heart. 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2. Give me heart. You give me heart, we can win games. Until then, see you next time. I'll be back up in Miami when they play North Carolina State unless we don't win another damn game. Can't spend my money if we don't win. Hey, everybody take care. One love, Godspeed. I'm out. Peace.
All right, Kane. Always a pleasure having you on the show. 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to 706. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, it's your boy Sebastian. I know you get the firing round, so I'm just going to get straight to it. I love everything. I love Greg, but they take up so much oxygen. We just got to move along real quick.
Yeah.
Mark that date down. November 6th. That's when Manny Diaz is going to get fired. We're going to lose to Georgia Tech. It's going to be a bad loss, and if that happens, all I ask is let me be the first caller. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. Our record at the end of the year is going to be 5-7, and we're going to have to make some wholesale changes, and we're going to need to figure out what in the hell are we going to do with the football program. Because the bottom of the line of it is it all starts up at the top. It's leadership. It's what your expectations are. You know, these teams that get on the field, they walk onto the field with the attitude of wanting to beat Miami. When I see people throwing down the U and stuff like that, that's just like flat-out disrespect. Point blank, plain and simple. I'm going to tell you exactly where I see where our program lies. You brought it up a lot of times. First of all, he really did have no business being the head coach. He didn't have the resume. He didn't have the pedigree. And the thing about that is when you make a $20 million mistake, how can you not be responsible for that? You're going to ask, whatever happens to him 5-7 at the end of the year, when we hire a new coach, why do we owe Blake James the opportunity to hire the next coach?
It's a very good question.
Are the board of trustees that satisfied with him? Why do we entrust him to make that next hire? I mean, I see a program like Auburn that fired Gus Malzahn, who had a better record against Alabama, bringing a coach from BYU, and they're competitive when they play against Penn State. I mean, I'm just going to lay it straight out to you. We've lost 4 of our last 5 games. Every big bowl game, every big team that we had to play against, we've got blown out. We haven't even been close, okay? We lose to FIU. We lose to Louisiana Tech in a bowl game. You know, it's just absolutely nonsense. And what I'm telling you, Gary, I just have realistic expectation. You know, I disagree with you on this point. There's absolutely no reason not to play Leonard Taylor. Absolutely
no, you're not disagreeing with me because I don't have an opinion one way or the other on that.
Well, let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
Let me finish my thought. Ford has 5 tackles as a defensive tackle. There's no reason how do you justify he's playing better or he should be ahead of Leonard Taylor? You know, I've seen one defensive tackle make a tackle in the backfield, and that was Jared Harrison Hunt against Michigan State. And you're absolutely right. When I say it's the coaching, you're right. Mel Tucker's arms as a coach extends all the way to Alabama. So he knows how to scout. He knows how to prepare. And if you watch the whole entire game, I told my daughter, from the first series, I was like, we're not winning this game. She said, Dad, it's too early. I said, I'm telling you, we're not winning this game. We don't have a coach that can coach for 4 quarters. We don't have a coach that can adjust. We don't have a coach that comes into the game with a game plan and understand what's going to work, what's not going to work. That is where your coaching pedigree has to come in. That's where your coaching pedigree has to come in. I mean, I hate talking about Nick Saban. Nick Saban goes in a championship game with Jalen Hurts. He's losing to Georgia. He puts the true freshman in. And they win the national championship. You can't tell me these kids are not ready to play. You can't tell me they're not going to make mistakes. You can't tell me they're not going to do anything. Before Tua threw that touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, he was sacked. In the next play, he throws a bomb. So I don't know if it was you or who was trying to disagree. There's absolutely no reason Leonard Taylor shouldn't have been playing. I don't care if there were people. What
if he's legitimately not ready to go out there yet? And I don't like. I'm not saying that he is. I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm just saying, what if he's not?
Let me answer that question. Build for the future. Build for the future. I know what I have out of John Ford. But
if you lose, everybody wants you fired. Like, it's easier said than done. Like, I mean, I'm not defending anything. I'm not saying what's right or wrong because I don't know the answer. But I am saying this, like, if you're a coach and you're going to put a true freshman out on the field, you better damn sure feel like he knows what the hell he's doing because he might make a mistake that makes you lose.
Here's the thing, Gary. So what? So what?
Well, so what? If you lose, you're gonna fire him.
Don't cut me off, Gary. Don't cut me off, then. Don't cut me off. Michigan State put a true freshman corner from the state of Florida on the field. Brantley, remember the guy that was supposed that was a suspect targeting or whatnot? They put a true freshman on the field. Why can't we? What's our argument there? They put a true freshman on the field. A boundary corner, they put him on the field.
I don't have any problem playing true freshmen, but I understand why coaches don't like to do it.
You don't think Michigan State's going to come back down here again and try to get another one of our players to see where we can go? Okay, here's to my last 2 points, and you can let me go. I'm the first caller. November 6th, Georgia Tech. We get blown out. You're going to put me on. The second thing is, I don't know if we can get Mario Cristobal, but I'm going to tell you the coach I think we need to get. We need to get the coach from Cincinnati. The reason why I say you need to get the coach from Cincinnati.
You know he failed at Ohio State, right?
Let me finish. He has failed. Mario Cristobal had his incident at FIU, but he comes from a winning program. When you can win with 3 stars, when you can win at a place like Cincinnati, like Urban Meyer was able to win at like whatever he went to, was it Bowling Green, and then went to like Utah, whatever. That tells me you can coach. You can coach. No coach should be at this point of the season talking to us about physicality and tackling. No coach at this time of the season should be having those types of conversations. You're paying a guy almost $5 million. Like I said before, absolutely no reason. The last thing I'll say, and you can put me on hold. What makes Blake James? What do we owe? Why do we owe Blake James the opportunity to make the next head coaching selection? When a CEO gets fired, that's a $20 million mistake he made. And why do you get to keep your job? People lose their job for making a $100 mistake. Why does he get to keep his job when you make a $20 million mistake? 4 of our last 5 games we've lost, game we played, we have not even been competitive in. And the last 4 games I've gone to, Gary, I have not seen the Miami Hurricanes win. And those games include Duke and Virginia. That is the reality Canes fans are looking with. Keep me on hold. November 6th, I'm the first caller.
All right, Sebastian. Hey, thank you for being part of the show, man. Yeah, let me make a note of that. November the 6th, Sebastian, first caller from the 706. All right, I got it. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We're going now to the 352. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary, what's going on?
Doing good. Who's this?
Hey, Sebastian's Pipe. What's up?
What's up, man? What you got?
So, have you been following social media around Blake James and Manny and the Hurricanes, like on Twitter and Facebook?
Yep, I have.
It's toxic.
Very toxic. Very toxic. I was going to play some of it on the show tonight, but there's just too many curse words and stuff. I figured I better not do it. But, yeah, no, it's bad.
There is not a single post that is being made regarding Miami or the Hurricanes, any portion of Miami or the Hurricanes that doesn't boil down to hating on Blake James and Manny Diaz. And do you think the university sees the punch in the face that they're getting in the world of public relations from this?
I think they do to a degree. I think the people that matter probably aren't spending their days on Twitter and Instagram. But I'm sure they're hearing about it.
At what point
are they going to walk in? Are they going to walk in tomorrow and say, Blake, you got to go over it? Probably not. But I'm sure some of them are aware of it. But the majority of them are busy being CEOs of companies and lawyers and things like that. Like, they're not really sitting there on Twitter and Instagram all day.
Sure, but does the administration at the university realize what a bad look this is?
Probably not. I would bet Julio Frank has no clue.
Yeah. At what point does it become so intolerable that you force their hand that they have to make a move? Because that's what we have to get to at this point.
If we get there, I'll tell you. I'll definitely tell you.
And beyond just the toxicness that's going around on social media, the game day atmosphere sucks.
Yeah.
It
when the
sucks.
games aren't going well, and the last 2 home games have not gone well, how good is the atmosphere going to be? You know.
Well, even beyond just the sheer number of fans there, like wasn't the halftime supposed to be celebrating the 1991 team?
Yeah, that was, to me, the most disgraceful thing I saw Saturday. Way worse than any missed tackle. I mean, you had, think about this.
What did you see?
You had your 2-time national championship coach there. You had your Heisman Trophy winning quarterback there. You're celebrating a 1991 national title, and nobody even bothered to do a video. Like, there was no video. Nobody handed Dennis Erickson and Gino Toretto a microphone. Even if you just gave them the microphone to say, "Go Canes," and let the crowd go crazy, like anything. But they basically rolled them out to the middle of the field for a photo op. They took a photo of them, and then they wheeled them back off the field. And that was the honoring and celebration of the 1991 national championship team. And, yeah, I thought it was just indicative of so much of what's going on that's wrong right now at the athletic department. Like, that to me was unforgivable. That's how you treated those guys. And I can't wait to ask Lamar about it tomorrow night, because Lamar was one of them. And you know, I think what you're going to hear. I think what you're going to hear is they didn't even throw a party for those guys. They COVID, we can't have a party. Are you kidding me? Those guys had to throw their own party on Friday night. They had to set up their own golf outing on Saturday morning, or no, they probably played golf Friday afternoon. But my point is that they did everything on their own, and then even at the stadium, they didn't have a proper ceremony for those guys. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah. And who's responsible for that?
Ultimately, the athletic director, because if he wasn't privy to what was going to take place, he certainly should have been. He should have asked the question, "What are we going to do for the 1991 team? What's our plan?"
This is a systemic problem, and it's like you're in one of these movies and everybody can see what the problem is, but the people in the movie, and everybody's screaming at the screen, "This is the problem, this is the problem," but the people in the movie have no idea that that's the problem. It's infuriating. It's just completely a Blake James problem. You know, I've written him a number of emails to try to get him to respond, very tasteful, polite emails. He never responds to them.
Really?
Not even his secretary responds to them. He does not respond to emails. Yes. And this isn't coming from some ravenous fan who's just spewing junk. This is like legitimate person trying to ask questions, fundraise, create committees to help. He does not respond to emails. He is asleep at the wheel. And that's the systemic problem.
You know what?
And
when people that are running a business have a boss that doesn't give a damn and isn't paying attention to what they're doing or is detached, this is what happens. And Blake James doesn't have a boss. Blake James has no boss to guide him for him to lean on for anything. I mean, Julio Frank is totally detached from athletics. Makes no secret about it.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you have a situation like that.
Where's the check and balance? Who are the
there's
people?
No check and balance.
Who is the person? How do they get into the position of power when they don't care? Like, how do you allow that?
I see it all the time, man. I see it all the time, and it's frustrating as hell. And I've been in the middle of it. I've been a victim of it from time to time through the years and stuff. I see it all the time. And it drives you out of your mind, but it's everywhere. It's probably more the norm than the exception.
Do you think that Blake James doesn't care? Do you think that he's not intelligent enough to realize the problem?
No, I think he cares. I think he cares. I think he thinks that he does a great job at his job. I think for the most part, most of the power structure of the university is very happy with him. Just on pure face value.
Yeah, except there's been no.
Because if they're sending him an email, he's answering it. If they send him an email, he's answering it. He's not ignoring it like he's ignoring yours.
Do you think there's any option that he would ever come on your show again?
Don't know. I don't want to do it. You know,
Have you asked him?
No, I don't want to ask him to do that right now. I mean, there's no point for me to bring him on the show, have to sit here and beat him over the head with the mistakes he's made, and then have him have to try to defend himself and talk himself around it. Like, it's pointless.
Well, at some point you have to get some sort of accountability for this.
Not really.
And I'm not
really.
saying you.
I don't need blood from Blake James. I knew the second he did what he did that he was making a mistake, and you know, I'm not surprised by anything that's happened. The only thing that surprised me was that things went as well as they did last year, and that's because we got the Eric King and we won close games. I mean, realistically, we were probably a 5-win team last year. The Eric King took us from 5 to 8. You know, so
we're probably a 5-win team this year too.
I hope not, but we'll see. It's going to be a long few months if they only win 4 more games. Can you imagine?
Have you thought about reaching out to David Epstein to see if he'd come on?
He won't. No, he won't come on. And I don't, you know, like David Epstein hasn't been around long enough, and you know, he wouldn't come. He there's no way he would come on a show like this and answer questions and stuff. It's not. And honestly, he's a trustee. He's at the upper levels of the university. There's no reason he should do that. That's not his place. You know, if I asked Blake to answer questions, would he do it? Probably. I don't think he would do it live. I think he would have me have the questions submitted in advance like we did the last time. But I don't want to do it right now because, you know, there's no benefit to everybody taking target practice at Blake James on this show. There's just nothing. There's no purpose to that. You know, by now he knows he's screwed up. He knows he's screwed up by now. You know, and it's just
games.
Yeah, he's there. He doesn't. You know, I don't think he intermingles a whole hell of a lot, but he definitely shows up for games. He's got his box and everything. Yeah. So, you know, he doesn't want to hear it from everybody. He knows the deal by now. He knows but you know, we'll see how the rest of this year goes. You know, hopefully they get better and they win their share of games, and it's not, you know, a totally painful experience for everybody. So we'll see what happens. All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. Appreciate it. Give us a call next time. Let's go to the 850. 850. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's going on there, Gary? It's Travis up here in Cali.
Hey, what's up, man? What you got for us?
Man, this show broke my damn heart, dude. Everything that's been said, man, it's like ready to get to the report.
This is real talk on Tuesday nights, man. We don't sugarcoat, right? We talk about the real issues.
Drop everything that I hate about it. But let me give one piece of positivity. Everybody that's been listening to this show should go check out your Monday show on whatever it is on the YouTube channel.
Good morning,
CaneSport in the morning. Yeah, that 40-minute one, man, that was some hard-hitting stuff right there. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just got to fire off here. It was either the last caller or the caller before. 100%, this is a Blake James problem. This is a guy that has what has he accomplished at the University of Miami? 1 ACC championship in basketball under Larry Nega, who wasn't even hired by him. Baseball, 0. Football, 0. So with that, it was 1 for 9. I don't know what the percentage is on that, but isn't that a failing rate? You've hired how many coaches and had to fire him in the football program? You know, like out the door Rick. And you brought up this point on your Good Morning CaneSport or whatever about how, like, when Rick came in, everybody's like, yeah, we're going to spend the money and we're going to do all that. And, yeah, we saw that. But didn't it also take our head coach ponying up $1 million to get them to actually get on board with building a indoor practice facility? Or am I?
It did. Absolutely.
So, I mean, dude, have you ever heard of that anywhere else in the country where the coach, like Jimbo left freaking Florida State because they wouldn't build stuff? He wasn't like, yo, here's $1 million, bro. Let me get that indoor practice facility. You know what I mean? So, like, this is the hypocrisy, the joke, the clown show that we are dealing with here. How does a man, they kept asking you that, keep his job when he has failed at every aspect of it? And we've only heard 2 things about him every time I ever hear anything about Blake James, he's a real likable guy. Well, cool. I'm glad he's a nice guy. That's freaking amazing. The world needs more nice people. I mean, because the world sucks, let's be honest. But two is, the only other thing that's relevant to his job is he's good at raising money. Well, guess what? That's your job. Like, can you not, like, look at a list of ADs and see how much total revenue they bring in and find a better one? You know, if it's all about making money and you're like, here, we've reached this plateau with Blake James, well, don't you think there's another plateau to be reached? Like, I mean, these people are billionaires, right, that we're talking about here, these board of trustee people and $100 million.
A lot of money.
All, you know,
a lot of money on that board of trustees.
Well,
they can raise whatever money they need to raise. If they have the will, they have the way, no doubt.
Well, forget the raising of the money. Just think of it in this sense that if you up to elite status, you will have elite product, which gets elite sales, which gets more kids coming to your campus because they want to be. I mean, let's be real here. If the team of the 80s didn't come through, would the University of Miami even be on the map? Like, I mean, would it be anything that it is now? Probably not. Why not go with that renaissance again? Bring it back, baby. It's not that hard. I mean, I keep seeing these articles about the bot and that they don't want to do this, and President Frank is happy with Blake James. Here's, I guess, the ultimate question that everybody's tried to ask you tonight, not really yet. What has he specifically done that makes everybody at the University of Miami so happy with this guy, where everybody that's not in a position of power in Miami is disgusted with him? Where's the difference between the two?
I think other than the COVID situation, that he runs the athletic department and the university doesn't have to bail it out. He balances the books. He runs the athletic department. They don't have to worry about it, frankly.
Did we ever have an AD that didn't do that?
No. Well, yeah, we did. Sean, I mean, well, we had some bad. Sean Eichhorst was a bad athletic director. Kirby Hocutt,
but he was here for like
what,
9
athletic
weeks or
director.
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't blame him for Mark Richt. I think at that point in time that was their best option, and it was a shot worth taking.
No, that's the only positive I can give him is Mark Richt.
Yeah,
that's it.
But you know, Rick handed him. Rick was burnt out. Rick couldn't do it anymore. Rick was getting sick. He was burnt out, and he did them the ultimate favor by walking away. And to do what he did was athletic director malpractice. I mean, and again, I don't blame Manny. This isn't me taking a shot at Manny. Manny had every reason to take that job. And you know,
he shot for the moon and he failed. He's out there in purgatory, right? But let me answer you one question you kept asking all the other people about why, or you keep telling them that Mario is like a legit option. Well, with Blake James as an athletic director, why is it a legit option? It doesn't matter how much money or how solid your plan is. Hold on, because of one reason. You've already passed on me twice. You wouldn't even give me an interview last time. So screw you, buddy. I'm not coming to work for you. Why do we think that Mario would come work for Blake under any scenario?
I don't know that he would.
I see zero possibility of that. If you want Mario Cristobal as an organization, if that's what they want, and that's what most of us want,
it might mean
you're going to have to fire Blake James.
Yeah, you might. You absolutely 100%. Might. We don't know that for a fact. And certainly Mario is not going to verbalize that to anybody, probably unless it's his agent. We can assume that, but you know, if it gets to the point where those conversations are taking place, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that were his stance. You know, and the reasons that you just gave would probably just be the beginning. All right, man. Let me let you run this for tonight. Give us a call next Tuesday, okay?
Thank you so much.
We'll continue the convo. I just got a lot of guys I got to get on here. Let's go to the 3-2-1. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's going on, Gary? This is Tony. How you doing?
What's up, Tony? How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Glad to hear from you. I just wanted to throw in one point. I don't want to keep everybody, waiting. Pretty much, I was listening to Colin Cowherd. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Colin Cowherd show on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah.
Okay. I was listening to Colin Cowherd, and he was talking about the USC football, and he was talking about Miami football. He likes to tie them both in. I just want to hit one point on that. Pretty much what he liked to bring up was USC was only good under NFL coaching, just like if you go through the history of Miami coaches, the coaches that were great and good in Miami, they were coaches from the NFL. And I was wondering what you thought about that. Like, if you go down, the Dennis Erickson, you go Butch Davis, you go Jimmy Johnson, all the Snellenberg, all the good Miami coaches were NFL coaches, just like you say. Carroll for USC.
Howard Snellenberger was in the NFL before he came here. Jimmy Johnson was not. Jimmy Johnson was a college coach when he came here. Dennis Erickson was a college coach when he came here and then went to the NFL. Butch Davis had been in the NFL as a coordinator. So it's kind of like a mixed bag, but, I get what he's getting at.
Okay. Yeah. What he was pretty much saying is, I feel like even if we do go down a road where we don't have Manny anymore and, we have to hire another coach, and I don't have 100% complete faith that we'd actually get rid of Manny Diaz. I have to see it to believe it. And I'm not going to sit on here and be negative. I just want to get my point across. How would you feel about that? Like, if we don't end up with Mario, if we try to go to the NFL and get somebody that might, fit the bill in Miami, how would you feel about that?
Here's the problem. To me, when I look at this program, the biggest issue this program has right now is not X's and O's. The biggest problem that this program has is recruiting and being able to keep the talent that's in South Florida home, and then being able to go outside of South Florida and win battles against the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ohio States, Florida, for the better players around the country. So, if that's the number one problem, and that's what I think it is, based on my lens, having been here as long as I have, then I don't see where an NFL assistant coach checks off that box. Who's never recruited before, who doesn't have contacts in South Florida. This is different. Howard Snellenberger was just an absolutely unique, incredible human being. And the landscape of college football at the time that Howard got this job was totally different. Like, not even in the same stratosphere of what college football is like today. And he was able to come in and with his magic and personality and presence, always the way he dressed, the top, the pipe, every aspect of his packaging and presentation, in concert with his ability as a football coach. That guy, let me tell you something, that guy, I don't know that we appreciate how unbelievable Howard Snellenberger was. But I don't know that you could take an assistant coach in the NFL. Like, I can't even tell you the name of the coordinators at the Dolphins, but you could take the best coordinator in the NFL, whoever runs the offense in Kansas City or whatever, for Andy Reid or whatever. You could take the best coordinator. I'm not sure you can pencil him in as the head football coach at Miami, and he's going to be able to win, because you got to be able to do all the other things that come with the job.
I would say he'd win more than Manny. But
the reason why I think Mario Cristobal is there's Mario and everybody else for this job is because he checks off every one of those boxes. This guy's recruited South Florida for 20 years. He knows everybody in the state of Florida. He's got connections around the country for all the recruiting he's done for Oregon and for Alabama, and he's got a pedigree as that he's considered one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. He can recruit linemen. What is this program lacking more than anything? Linemen. This guy he checks off every damn box, in my opinion. And I think if they are fortunate enough to whether it's this year, next year, the year, whatever it is, if they are fortunate enough to lure him to come do this job, my advice to everybody is going to be something that you've never heard from me, and that is everybody just shut the hell up and let the guy go to work. Just let him go to work.
Yeah, I want to add
because that guy is not going to sell you short one day of his life.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Mario Cristobal. I'm hoping that happens. One of my points was definitely like what would you say? Who would you go with as far as who would be the guy? Of course, I would say Mario Cristobal. I've watched his teams. His teams definitely played better, with more heart, more discipline.
than the teams that we have come out and put out on the field. Now, one more thing I just wanted to hit on was, one of the things you keep saying is, you've been saying for a while is we got to improve our recruiting. You know what I mean? And we have improved our recruiting in some aspects, and we got somebody like Leonard Taylor. And I feel like, why are you sitting here not incorporating this man into the game plan when he's better than he came in better than these guys that you have going out? We've been waiting for our defensive tackles to make waves for how many years? A lot of these guys still haven't been producing. So what are you going to lose putting the freshmen on the field? You're not going to lose anything because these guys are already on the field with us being blown out by teams. I'm not going to sit here and say Michigan State was a better team than us. Not by a long shot. We should have blown Michigan State out if we came to play ball. Michigan State came to play ball. We don't come to play ball. We don't show up to games. And whose fault is that? That's our football coach. Because let me tell you something. Football coaches carry a personality. I'm from Palm Bay, Florida, where I went to Bayside High School. There was a Palm Bay High School, and they didn't beat Bayside didn't beat Palm Bay High School until recently. And I'm 34. I went to high school and graduated in 2006. They damn near went 20 years, and Bayside couldn't beat them until a player that went to Bayside, went to Mississippi State, came back and coached the school and beat Palm Bay High. Basically what I'm saying is those Palm Bay High kids had a better mentality. They had a better coach. They had somebody putting them in position better than the Bayside players. And I'm talking about my freshman year, they beat us 63-0. You know what I mean? So basically what I'm saying is you can take some of the same kids. You can take – I told somebody this. You take the Alabama coaching staff and you give them Miami, and you give Miami Alabama's team. And I promise you, Alabama will probably still beat us by 7 to 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about that.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
I believe it. I believe it. If you take
I'm going to disagree with you just because I have the benefit of talking to pro scouts and NFL people, and they tell me there's very little talent on this roster.
I agree with it. I agree with that. I'm just saying all right, so I'll just leave it like this. Let's just say it would be a completely different game than what we saw when they played.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
It would be a completely different game. It wouldn't have been a complete blowout. I'll put it like that. But, that's all I'm going to go ahead and chime in, Gary. It was nice chatting with you. I just wanted to get a couple points across and see how you felt about, us maybe getting an NFL coach if we had to. But I'm all for going after Mario Cristobal. What my question I want to ask you before I get off the line, what if we were going to start today, what do we have to do to get going in the right direction? I mean, if we were getting rid of Manny or if we were to fire Manny, what steps do we have to take to get to where you see us being a power in college football again? And that's all I'm going to ask you.
I think you got to get a recruiter in the head coach's office. Manny, that's to me the biggest problem with Manny is he's never been a recruiter. He doesn't have that type of presence, and they lose way too many kids from South Florida, and they're not even a player for the better players in the country. So they can get enough players to have a decent recruiting ranking without getting great players. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing in the world, but yeah.
To get there, we're going to need to hire a coach that's not from Temple. That's what you're basically saying.
You're going to need to hire a coach that has a passion for recruiting and can recruit his ass off. And,
with credibility. That's what we need.
With credibility and presence, yep. All right, man. Hey,
Absolutely.
Thanks for being part of the show. Yeah, we'll talk to you
welcome.
next week. All right, let's go to 904. Live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's going on,
you with us?
It's Edward from Jacksonville. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you? Sounded like you were in a car wash.
How you doing? Actually, I am in a car wash. I'm at work. But I'm at
Are you really?
What I want to tell you was.
Wait a minute. Are you really in a car wash right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
I work in a warehouse. Man. I'm messing with you. But Gary, listen to me, man. Say, man. Remember, I forgot who it was earlier that was talking about all the defensive tackles. What are playing? You talk about playing on the defensive lines as freshmen. It's been a lot of guys recently. There was the guy from Michigan The guy, Ed Oliver, I think the guy from Michigan, his name was Gary. The guy from Michigan was Oliver. Clemson, as stacked as their D-line was, they played Christian Wilkins, and then they turned around and played the two guys this year, Reese and the other guy. They were true freshmen last year. Auburn has done it multiple times. Like, it's other schools top schools that play freshmen, D-linemen, especially D-linemen, as true freshmen. So for Leonard Taylor to get a few snaps here and there, our D tackles, they're okay, they're decent, serviceable. But to say that we won't even give him a chance to get on the field, like, okay, give him a couple of snaps and see what he do. Just see what happens. But that's all I really got to say about that. I ain't gonna feel a lot about that, but that's how I feel about that. Let him, because when you recruit somebody that's a 5-star and they have this, following, and they're kind of like divas. But you actually want to see what they have when the lights go on. Like you can do, it's a lot of players that play decent when they're practicing, but when the lights come on and you're in prime time, they don't show up. We got a few of those players. They do everything right in practice, and when the lights come on, you're like, wait a minute, this guy is not really that good. It works that way. Some guys play better in the game with the pressure on them. But you said something earlier that really made me think. One of the narratives that's talked about with Miami and money is money. Talk about money, and I'm sure that we don't have as much money as some programs do, and that's okay. But there's a thing that bothers me about the narrative of we don't have money. You said to me, I don't think it's all about money. I think it's about decision making and the people that are in these positions who may not be qualified to be in the positions they're in. Okay, so here's the thing. You said that money is an issue sometimes within athletic programs. But you also said that there was one of our donors who was willing to pay for Alonzo Highsmith out of their own pocket. It would not have cost the university a dime, and they still wouldn't do it. That had nothing to do with money at all. Yep. But the university did the wrong thing because Alonzo would have came in and said, hey, wait a minute, we need to fix this, this, and this because he knows how it's supposed to look. So that wouldn't have cost the university one dime, and we're talking about money all the time. So even when the university got an opportunity to do something that wouldn't cost any money, they still didn't do it.
Yep, that's
Am I wrong? It's kind of like, okay, well, is it money or is it the people that's making the decision? Like, I don't know Blake James personally, and I know it has a lot of stuff that falls on him. He got other different jobs outside of football, being a football athletic director. But you got to think, man, football should be your number one. It should be your number one thing because it's your biggest revenue producing sport. That should be the one that you worry about. And then I have a problem with the fact that we have a president. The president doesn't really care about football. Like, when you have people at the top who don't really seem like they know, because Blake don't really know what the hell going on. And to be honest, he don't really know what the hell going on. He doesn't know what a top football coach looks and sounds like, because we've interviewed Dan Mullen multiple times, and the feedback that they got from Dan Mullen was, he was too cocky, he was too full of himself. And I'm like, you kind of want your coach to be that way. Nick Saban is that way. He's a asshole, but he is that way. He's cocky. He's confident in what he's doing, and he would never come off as anything else. So when they said they wouldn't hire Dan Mullen, and part of the interview process, they didn't like that he was so cocky, or what exactly do you want in your football coach? I'm going to leave you at that. Y'all have a good night. Let some people on the line keep you on hold, man.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. Appreciate it. Let's go to the 386. 386, you're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, how we doing tonight? I got
doing good, man. Having a little party here.
All right, I got 3 quick questions for you.
Right.
We talking about coaches to replace Manny, and there's been several names thrown around, but there's one name haven't been mentioned, and that's Rod Chazinski. Is he not interested in coaching at Miami?
If you went to Rod Chazinski and offered him the head coaching job at Miami, I think he'd take it in a second. I like him more as part of I think there's a chance that if Mario Cristobal ever did become the head coach of Miami, that Rob Chazinski would be part of the staff. I think there's a great chance of that. Right now he's at Boston College helping out that great young head coach they have up there. But I think that there would be a chance. I don't know if he'd be the OC or not, but I think there would be a chance that in some way, shape, or form that he might be part of a Mario Cristobal staff at Miami. Whether it's as an analyst or coordinator, I don't know what it would be.
Okay, my second question is, just say, it does come down to a coaching search. The top 2 guys on the list we don't get. How do you feel about Jimmy Johnson or Butch Davis doing what Mack Brown is doing at North Carolina?
No.
Huh?
No chance that'll happen.
Neither one of them.
Jimmy's retired. He's not coming back, and Butch is just he's getting old now. He does he's probably in his last year at FIU. I think. I don't know if I don't know that. I certainly don't think he's going to be a candidate to be the head coach of Miami again. That ship sailed. That could have happened, before Mark Richt was hired.
Okay, my final question is, University of Miami put this hire in your hand. Would you take a chance on a Hugh Freeze?
No. If it's in my hands, I'm doing whatever I got to do to get Cristobal.
Okay, like I said at the top, if you don't get the first 2 guys, would you take a look at this guy?
No.
He's a winner.
No, I would. I think it's too risky for the University of Miami, and I think there's other comparable options that would be out there for me to pursue. I don't know that I would go there. I think I would be looking at the next tier of guys that everyone's bringing up their names. I'm not sold that any of them would be successful here. Like, I don't believe that Piquel or Campbell or those guys are guaranteed to be a success at Miami just because they're doing well where they're at right now. I don't think that necessarily crosses over. The thing you got to remember, when we went out and got just good football coaches, like, let's say we went and got Dennis Erickson, and Sam Jankovic had the vision to go get him, saw this, innovative offensive football coach that could come and, continue the championship tradition at Miami. Well, notice one thing. Jimmy Johnson handed him a juggernaut, right? When Jimmy Johnson left Miami, the program was absolutely loaded, very similar to the way it was when Butch left. So Dennis, coming in as the great football coach, was able to win 2 national championships in 3 years. But notice what happened after year 3, when now the roster was turning over and you're not recruiting the same level of players. You're not evaluating as well. All the little things that contributed to what Jimmy Johnson was able to build that he left for Dennis Erickson. Well, now it was a mess, right? I just think this is a very unique job. I think it's one of the toughest jobs in college football. I think that the person who's occupying the head coach's office at Miami better be able to check off every box. And I'm just not convinced that those types of people do that. Hugh Freeze, Luke Piquel, Matt Campbell, all those guys. Like, I personally don't think that they check all the boxes that you need to be successful in this job. To me, Mario Cristobal does. And, yes, I've known Mario since he's 18 years old, but me knowing Mario for 30-something years, all that does is give me the perspective into why he is the right guy for this job and why he checks off all the boxes. And, that's all that means. It doesn't mean I'm biased, I mean, I didn't have any problem back 7 years ago when he was still an assistant at Alabama, and they went and hired Mark Richt after Al Golden got fired, and I didn't have a great problem with the fact that they weren't ready to pull the trigger on Mario back then, because I felt that Mario would benefit from going now and getting another head coaching job after he left Alabama. So he went and did that. He did it at Oregon. But the last time when Rick retired, at that point in his development, they absolutely should have given him the job. It was Blake James' screw up. And if Manny doesn't make it through in the next couple years, whether it's Blake James or somebody else, I think that they should take the opportunity to make that right. And like I said earlier in the show, it's not about offering Mario Cristobal $10 million a year. That's not what it's about. It's about committing to a program that is set up to compete for championships every year. And if they do that and they're willing to invest in it, the best coaches, the best support staff, and everything else that goes with it, then I think they got a shot to get them. That's my opinion.
All right, appreciate it, Gary. My final comment is I'm just going to give you my opinion. I'm like several other callers. I did support the Manny Diaz hire. I was excited about it, but he's been a bust. I don't think this team is going to be bowl eligible. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Yeah, I don't know whether I call it a bust. I mean, it's like I think it's right. I think it's right where it. I think Manny is trying as hard as he can, and I think he's probably maxing out what he. I mean, listen, we're not all capable of being Superman. It's like I can be good at what I do, whatever. I've been doing this for 40 years, whatever. I mean, it doesn't mean that I have the skill set to go be president of the United States. It's like, no, I don't. It's like these are unique jobs, and Miami head coach is a very, very, very tough job. And, you better have everything working if you're going to take that office. Let's go to the 386. You're live on CaneSport Live. 386, you with us? Going once?
Yeah,
twice.
I think I just spoke with you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my bad. I hit the wrong number. Let's go to the 205. You're live on CaneSport Live. Sorry about that.
Hey, Gary, what's up?
Doing good. Who's this?
This is Jake from Alabama. What's up, man?
What's up, Jake? What you got for us, man?
Nothing. Been a great show. Just really goes to show how passionate the fan base is. But I want to talk about some of the things that I'm seeing that is just awful. And I guess if you can fix them, maybe the offense can get back online. But I went back through and looked at the game, and if you go drive by drive, you can really, really see how poorly the offense is performing just based off of penalties and turnovers and drop balls. I mean, first drive, turnover, second drive, penalty, sack, third drive, drop ball, 3rd and 5, fourth drive, no drops, no penalties, you go down and score. Fifth drive, at this point, Derek King is 16 for 18 for 175 and a touchdown. And then Mallory drops the ball and you miss a field goal. And that just changes the whole game. Mm-hmm. It seems like on defense, they're stunning out of contain. They can't set an edge because they're stunting up front so much that you're asking Nesta Silvera to come across the formation and beat their running back, who isn't a bad player, to the edge. I mean, sometimes they're getting too exotic for you to even expect them to do their job. I mean, what are you taking from all this?
I think what you're showing is that there's a lot of issues. I mean, maybe asking some guys to do things they can't do. Yeah, that might be a good point. I think the other thing you're pointing out without really realizing it is that they're not responding well to adversity. I mean, yeah, they were playing well. They're moving the ball. You pointed out the King was 16 of 18. Michigan State has given them, pass after pass. They're moving the ball down the field, but they didn't convert, and they let it snowball on them. And
see, I think you're right. I remember when I was really, really young, when my dad would take me to go watch the Canes in the early 2000s, and you watch the U Part 2, and you hear about how they would fight in the locker room if guys wouldn't make their wind sprints. And it's like we have this mentality on the team now, and I played wide receiver in college here in Birmingham, and we have to coddle receivers when they drop a pass. We have to worry about, is he mentally going to be okay if he drops the pass? Like, that is a cultural issue that teams that are successful do not have. If there's a guy that is you're concerned about mentally from catching the football, that's a wide receiver. He probably shouldn't be playing wide receiver for you. You got other guys that are coming in and they're making plays. Brinson's making plays. Jacoby George was making plays in scrimmages. You're not hearing about them dropping balls. Charleston Rambo comes from a successful program and goes out there and breaks the reception record because he came from a program where they're probably not coddling him if he drops a pass. They're probably saying, catch the damn ball or somebody else is going to take your job. So, I mean, that mentality on the team is learned, and you do take on the mentality of your coach. And if we have a coach that's worried about their feelings, and I understand this week he's talking about, we're not talking about feelings. But, it seems like they're worried about the mental health of the players too much instead of worrying about the performance of the players and not holding them to the standard. I think I talked about this with you last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I go on to say, and I'm totally with you. You do whatever you take to get Mario, and this is the last thing I'll say to Canes fans and you is Mario Cristobal went on the You documentary and said there were two things that you do as a player, and he said Jimmy Johnson used to say this. There are the things I coach you to do and the things that I allow you to do. And we don't have that on this football team right now. We allow these players to do too much. And the mistakes you allow will be the mistakes that destroy you. And that goes to penalties, turnovers, all that stuff. So I hope that they get it right. Or they got to get somebody in there that is going to fix it.
You got it, man. Thank you for being part of the show. Give us a call next week. The interesting thing is, it seems like everybody's just given up on Manny. I mean, I haven't heard one person tonight say that they think that they can turn this thing around this year and run the table or win enough games to win the Coastal or anything. Like everyone, I think, is, and I'm not saying everyone's right or wrong. There certainly has not been a lot of hope these first couple games, but I haven't heard one person say that they think that that's going to happen. Let's go to the 239. You're live on CaneSport Live. 239, you with us? Going once, going twice. All right, give us a call next week. Let's go to the 772. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hello?
Yeah, it's you. Who's this?
This is Andrew from Orlando.
What's up, Andrew? What you got for us?
I just wanted to point out something about something that I seen in the conference. Well, not the conference, but I forgot what it was when Manny was talking last. I believe yesterday. He stated that he has been doing the same thing the entire time that he's been here, and then he's wondering why we're getting beat in games. Because there's no creativity. I wanted to ask you, what is Bob Shoop's role here? Is he assisting him in any way? Because we're doing the exact same thing on.
Yeah, he is. He's an analyst. He's assisting Manny directly. He's out there. I saw him. We see him out on the practice field and stuff, observing and watching drills and things. And yeah, he's an analyst helping Manny.
I mean, are we sure about that? Because we're looking at the same results that we've been seeing the entire time he's been here. With the exception of the first 3 years when he was here with Al Golden's recruits. Mm-hmm. When he recruited everybody, this is what we're left with.
Well, I think what you've seen is that the personnel on that side of the ball has been in steady reverse for several years. I think that's a fair observation, and it's taken a toll.
I mean, I'm just getting tired of the arrogance and the. I don't know. I think he believes he knows that he's in a comfortable position because he has an $8 million buyout. We all know who to blame for that.
First of all,
but,
who says he has an $8 million buyout? Nobody knows that.
Just based on what we read today with Barry
but that's not how the contracts work. He might have 2 years left at $4 million a year, or somewhere in that ballpark. But that doesn't mean that the buyout is $8 million.
Well, what do you believe it is?
I don't believe it's $8 million. I don't know what it is. It's a private university, so they don't have to reveal the contracts. But I feel pretty confident it's not $8 million. It wouldn't. I don't think it's dollar for dollar. If it's dollar for dollar, Blake James should be fired.
We've invested $20 million into this coaching staff.
Yep.
I mean, isn't that enough to get him fired anyway?
I understand, man.
I mean, we're all consistently talking about money and losing money, and we don't have money. How can somebody with all the money that the supposed trustees have, how could they be happy with throwing away $20 million? I'm not happy with throwing away a penny.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't have that kind of money, of course, but Jesus Christ, what else do we need to do as a fan base to get these folks' attention? Because evidently nothing that we've been saying is working.
Keep yelling and screaming.
All right, I'm gonna let somebody
I think you're being heard. I'll tell you that. I think you're being heard. There are people listening. I know that for a fact. So we'll see we'll see what happens here over the next few weeks.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. We'll talk to you next time. Let's go to the 561. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Yo, what's up, Gary?
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, it's Scooter DuPont.
Hey, what's up,
man?
Scooter? Talk to me quick. Go ahead. What you got?
Tough show to get through, man. Everybody's.
Oh man, no, tonight it's lit up, man. I'm not going to get to everybody.
Yeah.
It's impossible. But I'm trying my best. So go ahead.
The callers are all the same. It's either like an angry black guy who hates Manny, or it's like an accountability guy who thinks that like the players aren't showing that, like they're not yelling at each other enough, or they need to get in somebody's ass and all this kind of thing. And it's like, and then nobody ever, I mean, everybody's always blaming the coaches, but no one will ever say like, hey, the players are bad. Usually when you have a bad team, you'll say, hey, the players aren't playing good. But with these people, they think that you could coach them up. Oh, they put a little too much into coaching.
How about this, Scooter? How about both?
Yeah.
How about both, which is what I think the wheelhouse is, and I think that's what's the truth. I think there's a joint responsibility. I don't think it's one or the other.
There's a disillusion about the fan base. Like they think, one guy said that if Alabama's coaches had this team, I don't know what he was saying, but listen, this team is not a good team. I don't care who's coaching them. This team is not.
No,
this team is the same team as last.
It's an average
Remember
team from a talent standpoint.
Played Oklahoma State last year.
Remember
that bowl game?
Yeah, they were an average team too.
Or do you remember? Yeah, well, it's
close
the same,
game.
It's Gervin Hall, Bubba Bolden, John Ford. You got Mike Harley and Derek King. We've got a good sample size of the team. We're trying to know what they could do, right? It doesn't make a difference who coaches them. This is, by the way, all the other games are going to be played by this team. It's not going to change much. We know what they're capable of doing. They're kind of like
every game's going to be the same as these last two games. They're going to be close games, hard-fought games that can go either way. Every one of them, I guarantee
they need
you.
to overhaul the personnel. And Manny's not.
That's
I don't
recruiting,
think Manny's
man.
The problem. Do you think Manny's a smart guy?
Yes, he absolutely is a smart guy. That doesn't mean he's a
smart
recruiter.
Guy. And not only, he put together some good recruiting classes. Leonard, he got helped by COVID, but Manny's a smart guy. He could figure things out. You need to give him a little bit of time. He's stuck with this team. He's not a miracle worker. He's not going to turn this. He's not going to make Bubba Bolden like a great tackler.
No.
Bubba Bolden's going to suck no matter what. I don't care who coaches him. I don't care who coaches him. He's never going to be a good player. That player is suspect. John Ford or whoever the defensive lineman is, they suck too. And I don't care who coaches them. Mike Harley, whatever. Okay? Doesn't matter who coaches them. So everybody who's calling up, blaming Manny on this thing, he needs another team. He needs to flush out all these bad players and get new players. And by the way, the saddest thing about these people calling is the ones who are saying that we should hire Butch Davis and Rod Jasinski and let's bring back Jimmy Johnson. It's like, dude, you're living in the past, man.
Yeah.
So,
Scooter, I'm not gonna really comment too much on what you're saying because the last thing I want to do is come across as like I'm bashing Manny because I'm not. But I will tell you this, that there's not a player on the defensive side of the football that Manny hasn't handpicked himself. I mean, I don't think you can make that.
There we go.
You can't make that excuse. You just can't. And I don't try. That's why I don't try to make excuses. It's like
I'll leave you with one last thing, then I'll get off the line. Recruiting is like a crapshoot. Okay, I'll look at the AC4. That's a crapshoot too. They'll draft a quarterback out of college. You don't even know how good the guy's going to be in the NFL, and they've had 4 years of evaluation in college. These coaches watch. They see a 6'4" athletic guy with a highlight tape, and that's what they go off of. It's a crapshoot. It's hard to judge. And, yeah, you got these teams like Alabama. They just collect 5 stars, and then they'll take the best out of all the 5 stars. But recruiting in general is just nonsense. It's just whoever's guess. So that's all I got to say.
All right, Scooter. Thank you for being part of the show, man. Let's go to 770. You're live on CaneSport Live. 770, you with us? Going once, going twice. All right, we'll get you next week. Let's go to the 305. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
That's you, man. Who's this?
Cino 305.
Hey, what's up, man? What you got, Cino? Talk to us quick.
Oh, man, so much shit. I don't even know where to start. Let me just ask one question, man. Yep. You mentioned board of trustees. Who's and you said you can't mention his name. Who's the person who makes a decision on the board of trustees?
I don't know that there's not one person. They're a group of people. I mean, the guy that is designated as the liaison to athletics is a guy by the name of David Epstein. And I believe that if there is another go round here, that he is going to be much more engaged than he was the first time around.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious we're kind of screwed with this whole thing. I mean, nobody's taking any accountability.
They don't have to be screwed. They don't have to be screwed. I mean, listen, this is not rocket science. If Manny can't get it done and you have to replace Manny, then you make a commitment to replace Manny. Once you make that commitment, then you have to make a commitment that you're going to support your football program at the level that it needs to be supported. That you're not going to play games anymore. It's not that difficult. You either want to do it or not. I don't want to hear you don't have enough money. They have enough money. The University of Miami's got plenty of money. They got plenty of supporters that have money. There's plenty of capabilities to raise money. You could go on and on and on and on and on.
Gary, though, if they didn't fire the athletic director at this point, and this guy David Epstein is in charge of making the decision, he's not even around. It's pretty obvious that we have a serious problem.
They had a serious problem a few years ago. They got caught with their pants down. It happened very quickly. Blake made a massive mistake, and there was nobody there to catch him. Yes, everything broke down, all in a span of a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon. No argument. This time around, they're not getting caught with their pants down. This has been a festering problem for 3 years, and it's coming potentially to a head if things don't turn around fast. And there's not going to be any surprises. It's like, right now is the time for them to be getting their ducks in a row and figuring out what they need to do and making sure that they're ready to put their best foot forward when they go out. If they have to go out and look for a coach, that they can do a better job this time. That's all. It's not rocket science.
So do you think Blake gets fired?
I don't know. I don't know because I don't have a feel for whether Blake is capable of luring a coach good enough to get this program to the next level. If it turns out that he is, then no, he won't be fired. But if he's not, and he becomes a barrier to that level of success, then I don't know. All bets could be off. I don't think I don't think the president is sitting there right now saying I need to fire my athletic director. Whether he's right, whether he's wrong, I don't think that's taking place.
Let's say to getting a guy like Mario, who fires him?
Well, it would have to be the president, probably on the advice of the board of trustees. But I don't think we're there yet, man. Like right now, Manny Diaz is the coach. We're not there yet. We can't answer that question right now, Stino, is my point. We might be able to answer it down the road. It might be an issue down the road. Right now, it's neither an issue nor a question that we can answer. You know what I'm saying?
So it's not. We're not there yet, but we might be 2 losses from being there.
Or Mario Cristobal might tell them, you know what, thank you so much, but I've got it going so great at Oregon that under no circumstance can I consider that job right now. Correct. And then they hire a search committee.
Else, no?
Yeah, they hire a search committee to go out and find the best guy, and there's no, Blake survives.
Right.
So this could go in a million directions, in a million different ways. Who the heck knows? I think Blake will do. I think Blake will do everything he can do to try to save his job and to stay in his position and make it through this and know that he made a mistake and move forward. That's what if I had to go to a betting window and make a bet, that's what it would be. So, but again,
they can't let him do it because, like you said, he's not experienced or competent enough to bring us to that level. That's the problem.
Yep. All right, Stino. Well, we'll be talking more about this in the coming weeks, I assure you. So give us a call earlier next week, and we'll chop it around a little bit more. I got to let you go right now. Thanks for being part of the show.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, man. All right, guys, I apologize profusely. I know there's a whole bunch of you that are still on the line that haven't gotten on the show. There's no way I'm going to get to you all tonight. We will be back next Tuesday night on CaneSport Live to continue this conversation. I hope you guys get in earlier and we can get you on. I want to thank everybody that participated tonight. What an awesome show. A lot of great opinions. We don't have definitive answers on a lot of these things yet. We got to see how things go. I would say that it begins this Saturday, but obviously it doesn't. This is a scrimmage on Saturday. But it will begin the following Thursday night when Virginia comes to town. So thank you, everybody, for being part of the show. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, the Lamar Thomas Show. And if you haven't been listening to that on Wednesday nights, wow. Those have been some epic moments the first few weeks. Great lineup again tomorrow night, so join us for that. And until next time, I'll say goodbye, everybody.